Greetings, and welcome back to the Soul Citizens. I am GriffinGamingRPG, and we are happy to be back with you guys this week on Mother's Day weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all of you folks who have mothers, who've had mothers, who know mothers. We want to give a shout out to mothers, because without mothers, we wouldn't be here. So it's good to be able to celebrate mothers. But this is an all Men's Day show. We don't have any mothers on our. I don't have any mothers in our cast, so we just got to go with what we got, fellas. But I guess we just gotta make it as best we can, since it's not our day. Father's Day's next month, though, so it'll be about the men next month. But yeah, we're happy to have everybody here today. We have special guests joining us today. They're not new to you all, even though they have new in their name. It's New Soul. We've got Fist to Face and Pops in Space. They're joining us. As you guys know, they do much of the introduction music that we use for our show. Shipwreck, thank you so much for kicking us off with that subscription for 15 months, brother. Thank you. We appreciate you. We know you've been a supporter for a long time. They have, New Soul has provided music for us and other folks, and you guys have seen them put out videos for the Star Citizen community. And we got a chance this week we kind of hang out in general sometimes and game from time to time. We don't get to do it that often in Star Citizen, so this week we did take a look at some of the new things, the mechanics that are in 3.17. And even though we know it came out not this Friday, but last Friday, we opted to wait a week because we realized that 3.17 had a lot of content in it. And we wanted to give ourselves, as well as the community, time to digest. We know we watch videos and YouTube and stuff, but when you get to play it for yourself, things sink in a little bit better. So before we move further, I want to introduce co-host who's hanging out with us today, Kalrati. How are you, brother?
Yo, what's happening, everybody? What is happening, Soul Citizen Stream Team? How it going? Good. Happy to be here.
Doing good. And again, Fist to Face, how are you, brother?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Pops, how are you?
I am cool.
Okay.
I am really cool.
Good. Well, we've got 16 categories to cover today, so count them, and we're going to get into it. But we're going to kick you guys off with a video that the old man completely forgot to start before the show started, because I told him we was going to watch a video first. So let's watch this video, and then we're going to come back and jump into it, okay? Here we go. Now, I wish I could give a shout out, Kalrati, to the brothers of New Soul, because that sounds like something they would write.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? That sounds like something they would write. But they I don't know what they doing, man. These brothers, that's how, if I close my eyes, I'd be like,
it up, man.
I'd be like, man, that was New Soul, man. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. But listen, I will say, y'all don't know. New Soul can produce like that. So y'all need to put some fire on New Soul, because that needs to come from the community. They don't need to be contracting nobody.
Yeah. See, you need to contact New Soul and let the whole community know, man.
There you go.
All right.
The song was on point.
I had to give that.
It was on point. Yeah.
It had that DMX, Ja Rule.
It reminded me like as if you wanted to go to the gym, like, let's go get pumped. Let's go. It's like, all right.
Yeah. No, that was some good stuff. And I definitely like the spin. We talked about this a little bit on Thursday briefly. The CIG obviously took a different spin with the music, and you said this Fist, definitely different for what they normally do when they do these update trailers. But that whole idea of trade money, because that's something the community's been asking for, right? This thing of getting the economy going. is something that everybody's been really excited about. And so for them to kind of throw that in as the theme song, and for those of y'all who don't know what Monet is, all right, it's not a girl. We ain't talking about some girl named Monet, all right? Talking about making that money, making that cheese, right? Making the cheese, okay?
But however you want to call it, the cheese, the guap, cheddar.
The cheddar, yeah, whatever, right? That's what they talking about is making the money. Yeah, let me start with Kalrati for this time. Usually we start with our guests first, but I want to talk to Kalrati for a moment because he hasn't been here in a little bit. And, Kalrati, there was a lot of discussion when we left out of 316 that people, as there was a lot of stuff happening, right? That whole thing happened with the roadmap. Folks got kind of freaked out about information, transparency, blah, 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 blah. But we found out that 317 had a lot in it, even though when you looked at the roadmap, there was a certain amount of stuff there, but it almost seems like it grew to us, right? I mean, how did you feel about when you saw like how much stuff was really being churned out at 317?
Yeah, a good bit of things weren't really in the personals, some nice quality of life fixes like the building blocks for the terminals and those things. And when I saw, when you tested, thanks for the follow.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you tested, the more you really appreciated the work that they've put into 3.17.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was really glad to see, the features that they actually pushed out,
mm-hmm.
but also the tiny bits that actually added extra value to the patch. So
mm-hmm.
it was really, really nice to see. And I think, honestly speaking, you'd only uncover it more the more you play.
Yeah.
And, so that's the whole significance behind, taking some time,
mm-hmm.
playing patch, seeing what's there, and really, absorbing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Fist, how about you? What did you think about this patch since you've been in over the past week? How you been feeling about it since PTU till now?
Okay, so you know what? I actually feel very good about this patch.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I mean, yeah, you have a lot more things in there to do. Being with Quanta is on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm saying it right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go in there and now obviously, it's still not a complete game, but your imagination can run wild in this one. You can role play and like you said, we've been doing the bunkers, and I know we'll get into that a little bit later, but you can do a lot more in there. With refueling, carrying boxes, doing a whole bunch of things. So I definitely enjoyed this patch, to be honest with you, more than others.
Okay. Pops, how about you? You digging the patch so far?
Yeah. My thoughts on it is that it falls into. Thank you for the subscription.
Thanks for the subscription.
I think this falls into what we saw in Inside Star Citizen this week about all the tools in the background that are being made and done, and it's as if because we were kind of cut off because of the last thing they kind of said we're not going to show as much, but they did. I know this isn't really the way to say it, but they did as much. So I'm going to put it that way.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
So
the roadmap may not have been fat like Kalrati said, but man, once you see the full patch notes, it's like, whoa, there's a whole lot of stuff here, right? Well, let's jump into one of the first things that people got excited about, and I know. Some people would say this is like the graphics and the frills of graphics, but you would think by now we wouldn't be excited about clouds, right? We got them in Microtech, right? And then all of a sudden we get clouds again, and I hate to say it, we got excited about clouds, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and we got excited because they added them at Hurston.
Right.
And I don't know, do you guys think this adds more character? I'll just put this out on the floor. To Hurston, because Hurston already kind of looked funky. You know what I mean? It was kind of a dreary place. But what do you think about it now since they've added the clouds to it? Anybody?
I enjoy it though. I think it gives it, more lifelike, And to me, excuse me, I to be honest with you, when I see those clouds, I envision seeing little flashes of lights down there, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I envision when I start to see that, and I see those clouds, and I start to see, as you pulling in, you know, to it, and you might see flashes of blue or whatever, you know, to let you know, okay, something's going on down there, depending upon, you know, the planet you're pulling up to. So, I mean, it's definitely a step into the right direction.
Yeah.
You know, with the game.
Okay. That's me flying to 100 coming in. I had to shoot some footage.
Had to be an
I had to get some footage. All right, but go ahead, Kalrati.
It really added some depth to it. I actually found because before the clouds came in, you know, it was really easy to see where it is you'd have to land and everything. But you know, when I actually quantum travel, quantum jumped to Lorville, I had to, you know, use the scanning pulse to really see, okay, I'm above the clouds. Where am I going to land? Where's the spaceport? And after I, you know, went through the clouds, it really felt a lot more immersive. Even though, you know, the clouds right now at least doesn't necessarily add anything direct gameplay wise, in terms of the immersion, in terms of the feel, it really connected me to an actual environment, to more living, you know, an active environment. So it's once again definitely a step in the right direction, and I'm really excited to see what they do more with Lorville, with other locations, especially ArcCorp. That, you know, I'm really excited to see what they do with clouds there too.
Yeah. Pops, anything about the weather you want to say?
Well, I think the clouds fit. They're nice and dirty.
Yeah, the way they look. Yeah, even the way they look, right? Right, they're not the big puffy white clouds of Microtech, right? They do look kind of ominous, right? Kind of funky.
They got that nice dirty.
Chemical,
dirty,
maybe.
Dirty.
Yeah.
Low down dirty.
Yeah, affected by pollution, chemicals, everything. There's something here. Fizzy Shin, I'm sorry, said something that I was thinking about. He says, yeah, we really need, now this gives justification to storms, vortexes, atmospheric effects. By the way, there are winds down there. Don't let it fool you. But without atmospheric conditions like clouds, it's hard to justify rain or high winds, all this other stuff, right? I mean, you could have winds, I guess, in a desert scenario, but it's not a desert scenario. So like you said, Pops, the fact that there's the atmosphere, there's moisture, there's chemicals, there's a whole lot of things that be going on. Fish, you mentioned about maybe even some type of electrical something that's kicking off, whatever the case may be. The clouds are a lot more than just graphics. You can see the next level of how they can literally, if you see heavy clouds somewhere, just like in a storm when you're flying a plane normally, if you see thunderheads at a certain place, you know, go around that area, or it's going to be very turbulent when you approach that area. So, you know, a lot of times we may look at it as, okay, yeah, they're just clouds. But if CIG, as we always say, CIG puts things in the game to have meaning, and even something as simple as clouds later on could have significant meaning for a pilot. Kalrati, even if it means trying to fly that base, or that your buddy who's stranded down there, but you got to go through some rough cloud layers and whatever, you know. I don't know how many of y'all ever tried to fly into Orison at night Microtech at night when the clouds are thin.
Oh no,
it ain't no joke. It ain't, especially when the winds are kicking. It is no joke.
Yeah. And then, like, if you fly down there, I don't know if it's still that bug where, like, it'll cut your ship off. Oh man, it'll freak you out. Like, you know.
So it is no joke. So we can see where this could lead to, basically. Okay?
Definitely.
All right, let's jump out of this with the clouds. Clouds are beautiful. Let's talk about the place that all of us eventually will visit, and that is Maria Pure of Heart. In the patch notes here, Vector, thank you for that resub. And let me make sure you get a whammy for that. All right.
Thanks for the subscription.
Let's talk about what they say in the patch notes here. Implementation of Maria Pure of Heart Hospital in Lorville, where players can receive medical treatment, regenerate, make imprints, and purchase medical supplies. Now, many of you all know Maria had been sitting there as nothing more than a facade for a long time. Looked kind of cool, but after a while we ignored it because there was nothing going on there. But now it's in there. Pops, I'm gonna start out with you this time. Have you had a chance to go inside of Maria Pure Heart? Let me ask you that first. Yeah. What'd you think of it when you went in?
It's like the clouds. It's kind of spooky in there for a hospital. But no, it's I get it. It's not your normal nice, bright, clean looking. It's dark. It's more like it's like an what style is it? Not Art Deco. No, punk.
Art
is
Deco.
It? Okay, I'm thinking more.
Yeah, it's more of what do you call
punk,
it?
Kind of.
Guys, what's
steampunk? No.
It kind of reminds you of steampunk a little bit. What's it called, guys? When it's that hard edges, hard lines design. I forget what the term is called.
I'm getting two.
Yeah. Because we all brutalist. Man. Thank you, Jade. Jade's on it. Brutalist design. Yes, brutalist design.
Thank you, Jade.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, so it has that look and feel, and man, that we're going by those portraits, man, that was some scary people, boy. Ooh, I wouldn't want to mess with any one of them in a dark alleyway. But yeah, it's very interesting things. You get it's the only hospital that you have to go through. I don't know what you call that the doorway when you go through the doorway. I guess it's some kind of ultraviolet electrical.
It's got like a scan there. It's got a scanning
thing going on, and I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Fitz, what did you think? I mean, in the sense of, do you see this as beautiful in the sense of its design, or is it, I mean, because Brutalist, depending how you want to look at it, some people might.
It depends. To be honest with you, it's not where I would feel safe at. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think it should be called Maria Pure Horror. I think it should be you should flip that name around from Art Corps and call it the Empire, because that's really what you should call that hospital.
Okay.
But it's, to me, it's kind of got that dark, dreary, like when you walk into there. I mean, this is supposed to be the lobby area, so I'm like, if I was somebody coming in there, you put yourself in a position of being in real life, and you like, whoa, okay, what is this? This is like really dungeonist. But I mean, the thing about it was kind of surprising. Like when we went upstairs to the second floor, it was brighter.
Thanks for the follow.
So it was more, warm and, a little more cozier upstairs.
Yeah. Kalrati, how about you? What do you think about it?
Knowing in some way the
Thanks for
history
the
of the Hurstons and the Hurston family and the lore behind them, and Maria in some way, I think the artist really did a really nice job on matching the design language of the hospital with the Hurstons and the whole theme behind what they stand for, quote unquote, and as well as the environment. So it speaks a lot to the entire environment, and it was really, really nice to see those aspects. One particular thing that I think stood out for many people, if you really stop and listen, is the audio, like what the speaker says, like those lines.
Yes,
it's kind of funny, but also a bit grim in some kind of weird way.
Yeah, there's always this thing about your health being good so that you can go work when they're talking, right? Yeah. It's not like this worrying about you. It's worried about making sure you're okay so you can get back to work kind of feel.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. It is.
Colossal said it best. He said, "Art Corp is get to work. It's not about feeling anything other than just get to work."
Hurston.
Hurston.
Yeah.
You know what?
Getting to work.
To say something to what Kalrati was saying, though, about if you listen to, the voices, the Walla and all that other stuff around it, if you go, I'm not sure if it's upstairs or to, I think it was one of the restricted areas. It's right there, and I stood there right at the restricted area, and you can hear a patient and a doctor talking. It's very distant.
Yeah.
It's filtered. Yeah. And you can hear them talk, and then you hear them start to operate. And I was like, what are they operating on in there?
The same thing is over at it's not Orison's hospital. It might be maybe it is Orison. Microsex Hospital, but there's a wall, there's a door that we can't access, and if you stand next to it, you hear conversations going on the other side. Let you know there's something going on, activities or stuff. What I thought was unique about this particular facility, first of all, I think it's beautiful as far as the design goes. What's funny is that it parallels what we see at the business center, right? The business district, right? I mean, literally, it's the same marble, inlaid gold, all the same stuff, right? And it's like all they did was translate what they consider what's important, which is finance. As you mentioned, Kalrati, the same thing happens to the hospital. And it is not about the person necessarily. It's about business. It's about getting these people healthy so they can get back to business again. So there's no consideration for the mental or emotional health of people. So like you said, having a place, it's not gloomy, but it's also not like the place that inspires you to get better, right? Unless you're just looking at gold and marble. That doesn't do anything for you getting better, So that was the thing that really stood out to me, that they continued that theme even over there. And I think it was Cade. Someone talked about the lore a second ago, which was really good. It was Cade. Kate said, yeah, man, Maria, quote unquote, quote, pure of heart, was no true Hurston. Married into the family, she was really pure of heart, as no Hurston ever was. What the Hurstons do is just the people's memory of her to manipulate them. There you go. So we see a little bit of the lore there and what's going on with that, right? Because there is some irony to that name of Maria Pure in Heart, but when you look at the place, you don't feel very pure in heart about the design. No. So thank you for that, Cade. Yeah, that's good stuff to share. Good stuff. Okay, let's get on past that. That's number 2. We still got 14 more to go. This one's a variation, the Space Station Clinics. As you guys know, when the clinics came out, and those of you who watched Pops mentioned about the tools earlier, how things are procedurally generated, many of the clinics that we saw at the different stations kind of looked the same. You came into them, the entrance was laid out the same. You know, you knew exactly where to go for the pharmacy, where to go to do the regeneration. And CIG has now implemented some variants to these clinics now so that their layouts are a little bit different, so that they feel a little more unique. There's no real difference in the sense of color palettes or anything like that, but they are laid out differently. And you do have to figure out when you wake up in your bed, do I turn left, do I turn right, or whatever the case may be. Do you guys ever use these clinics at the different locations, or do you pretty much stay at your main base when you spawn, or do you like whenever I land at a certain place, like I'm going to mining and I'm out at Crew L1, do I go in and regenerate there? I'm kind of curious. Kalrati, I'll start with you. Do you do that, or what do you do? Or do you forget to do
frequently. It? Actually, I make sure to do it, man.
Okay.
I make sure to do that after past experiences. Okay. But yeah, it was really nice to see that they've added some variety to them. It'll be really nice to see some extra variety. Sometimes I kind of think, I say that, but I can't really think off the top of my head what kind of what can actually add to that variety. Maybe they want to add some additional or changes in design language. So for example, the Hurston clinics, they would want to adopt more of the Hurston kind of design language, and maybe the Crusader space clinics, of course. The other thing is that we don't want them to spend too long to be doing that. So, but of course, as we expand more, they'd like to have some kind of variety in terms of design languages to make these places feel a lot more special too. But I really appreciate the change, the variety. Sometimes I do find myself, turning left instead of turning right when actually exiting, so I can feel that, that subtle change. So I'm looking forward once again, to seeing what else they do to these clinics.
The other thing too is that the R&R, the ones who run these, the have things, they're going to have a certain look, but we know that when we go into, like, for example, when you go to Grimhex, the clinic looks totally different, right? Oh, yeah. Levski was going to look totally different. We didn't have it in Levski, but I would assume that one, like you said, would have a different design language to it. And of course, when we go into Pyro, we've already seen some imagery there. So it may be just the fact that because this is Stanton and because that particular contractor owns those floating stations, we have that common theme. But hopefully, like you said, we'll see it. Yeah, Kelto, we'll see. Oh, that's Colossal. Yeah, he claims that's his company, Kelto. But hopefully we'll see some variance in that. Fitz, real quick, do you spawn? When you go to these places, do you just go pick up supplies from them and wake up, or do you actually put a regeneration thing, an imprint there, so that if you die, you'll wake up at the clinic?
Only if I know that I'm going to be doing an operation in that area for a while.
Okay. So you'll risk it just in case. You keep it at your base or your main place.
Just grab it. And just grab what I need to get, regenerate, top off, and then moving on to the next part.
Okay. Pops, how about you?
Well, I tend to die a lot, so I'm always imprinting myself.
You're staying on top of it, huh?
Yeah.
So it's good insurance. It's self-insurance.
Everywhere you go.
Yeah, I ain't mad at you. Okay. All right. Yeah, it is aggravating when you wake up like 50 million kilometers on the other side of the system because you forgot to do it. So, right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that was clinics. Here's one that people a lot of buzz about, interesting buzz about, and that's Rivers. Rivers and CIG was really particular about this one in the patch. They put down T0. For those of you all who don't know what that means, it don't mean 2. It means tier 0, the first iteration of Rivers. And we have one river right now. They say river. And there's just one. Many of you know how to get there. If you don't know how to get there, you leave Microtech out of the hangars and you take a bearing of 205 and just travel, and eventually you will come across the river. Let me go to Fist on this one first this time. Fist, what'd you think? I know you had a chance to visit the river finally, so what are your thoughts about it? I know we talked about some of the bugs, but what do you think about the river itself?
I think it's a good start. To be honest with you, I mean, I think it's a great start. I mean, obviously, we play another game that has these mechanics in rivers and stuff like that, water, and you start to see this being a potential for having, like you said, spawning fish and other things like that, and one thing I've learned that people love fishing in MMOs.
As crazy as it is, right? Of all the things to do,
I would never have known, Griff. I mean, when I got an MMO, I was like, fishing, like people think that's the number one thing.
It's an interesting thing that people do. That's a good point. Good point. Pops, how about you? What'd you think about the river?
Oh, it's beautiful. It has that nice shimmer to it right now, but there is no physics in it. It's there's no difference in when you're walking through the air and when you're walking through the water. But as you know, we all know it's tier 0.
Right.
It looks great. The light reflection in this patch, the ambient occlusion in this patch is great. So yeah.
Kalrati?
So folks did not disappoint in terms of creativity behind using this river. I've seen some really nice videos. I think it was one from Black Maze where they had an Aurora race, and you know how I feel about my Auroras. So, it was really nice to see that, and I'm really excited to see what else they do with rivers. And I was impressed by this first iteration. This first version. So great job. Top off, to CIG.
Yeah. I had my. It's so it's so difficult not to compare things to other things, right? And we've seen water and rivers in other games. It's nothing new, right? But we were excited to see it. That shot right there of the sun setting, bouncing off of it, looks beautiful, right? It looks great.
Oh man!
Even though people were cheering, "Wow, we can go in the water and not die," but then you go in the water and, like Pop said, it's just like walking on the ground outside. There's nothing, you don't slow down. There's no oxygen. I mean, it's like, okay, big deal, great. So I'm like, okay, I know eventually they're going to put buoyancy in, right? I don't want to walk on the bottom of the river. I want to walk to a certain point, but at a certain point, I need to start floating. But I know it's coming, right? Exactly. I know it's coming, which is cool. But look at it this way: you could put hover bikes across it, which was cool. I didn't expect that. That was very cool, right? Like you said, Fist, bringing in fauna, bringing in wildlife. That's going to be some of the next steps that we'll all be excited to look forward to. I hope you walk next to the river, and you better be careful because something might snatch you out when you're walking along the shoreline.
You know what?
Maybe
I've
something,
been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe something good or something bad, right? I mean, it could be piranha when you go in there or whatever. But you get my point. There's a lot of things they can do, not to mention, which they do show in this video, they do, and they talked about this, that they designed the game to procedurally build vegetation around rivers so that you have the growth of certain foods, or whether they be spores, whatever it is. Something like that scene we're seeing there with the reflection bouncing off the bottom of the ship. I ain't seen that in nobody's game. Now, maybe y'all have, but there's something that they did that I ain't seen someplace else, So I thought that was very cool. So yeah, I think that this is, as you said, Kalrati, tier 0, first iteration, but we know they're going to build on it. No question about it. Right. We know they're going to build on it, which is very, very cool. So if you guys haven't checked out the river, check it out. There's only one. I think they said originally it was going to only be 2 kilometers, and then they ended up making it like 6 or 8 kilometers long. They expanded the length of it, which is pretty cool.
Another thing too, you got to think about it. The river will be a hunting ground.
Oh yeah, definitely. But you know what? It'll be a hunting ground. It'll be a place where people who want to do farming and agriculture will place their places, right? Because they want to be able to have access to water. It's going to be areas of transportation for delivery of stuff. There's a whole lot of things that waterways will represent in a game. So don't underestimate. Again, it's not just about looking pretty. Not about looking pretty.
Right, because I kind of see like a little thing real quick, like, where, you might have somebody have set up a nature documentary out there as soon as wildlife comes on, and if they have circle of life in here,
you never know, right? Yeah, you never know.
There you go.
Never know. That's good stuff. Okay, let's hop on to the next one here. This one is a big one because this one stirred the world when they announced this one, right? Yes, I'm talking about the coffee vendor. All right, the coffee vendor.
Most important feature in
The
the package.
coffee vendor caught more flack than the bartender. Remember when they announced the bartender, people went up in the arm. Bartender? What do we need a freaking bartender for? All right. Well, now we've got the coffee vendor. Pops, have you gone to get some coffee from the coffee vendor yet?
Yes, I did.
You did. You got a cup of coffee.
Yes,
All right. Did you give her a tip?
I got a few things. I think, you know what? I think they were waiting.
Mm-hmm.
This is my guess at. I think they were waiting for. I know this is a kind of a stab at it, but I think they were waiting for Gen 12 to come in because the NPCs are responding a little bit better. So I think they needed that for this.
Yeah, it is definitely smoothed out. The animations are much better. Before there was a jerkiness, there was like a hesitation. There was a desync. You know, now it's kind of the flow is way, way, way better. Who was that who just said that? Vector.
Yeah.
You know what, Vector? The first time I went, I looked at that coffee. It was there, and I drank it. The first time I went. The next time I went, that sucker was empty. So I haven't gone recently. So it's 50-50 for me, Vector. I don't know. Maybe coffee's in there now or not. I know she offers you fizz, coffee, and something else that you can get from there.
Pips.
Right?
Yep.
Is it pips? Okay, so you can get any of those things. But I do like the animation. Kalrati, elaborate for us a little bit about why are bartenders and of all the things they could be doing, why aren't they monkeying around with gameplay? Why are they doing all this stuff with bartenders and coffee people?
Because if not many know, NPCs are going to make up a good bit of things, a good bit of life and activity in the world in terms of usability, in terms of interaction, player to player, player to NPC, NPC to NPC interaction, in terms of usabilities, in terms of mission givers, and all those things, be it legally, illegally, all those fun things.
Yeah.
So, even though the coffee vendor was something that was, initiated and implemented and done by a junior at CIG, it is something that is still meaningful. So it's very, very significant. And, if those who have seen the CitizenCon Pyro demo, you'd have seen certain hints and certain nuances similar to the male NPC from that demo. So it was nice to see that was actually integrated into that new coffee shop vendor. So it speaks to the fact that they are advancing the interactions of coffee shop vendors, both in terms of nuances, verbally, physically, and in terms of their ability to use different items procedurally on the fly. So it was really refreshing to see, and there's a lot more to this.
Yeah,
There's a lot more to this.
yeah. I want to respond to Carpetail's Q, who says that no matter what, when you get that coffee, you get a cup of mercury. I know it was silver, right? It was not like brown, Q. I agree with you on that. I kind of looked at it twice and said, well, they say it's coffee, so I went on ahead and drank it. Go ahead, Pops. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to kind of do a little continuous of what Kalrati is saying. Yeah, because this probably has a lot to do with Squadron 42. And he's right. If we remember that video, when you have the choice of what gun you want to purchase, and that has a lot to do with this.
Yep, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. All right. Well, that's the coffee. I mean, like, if you haven't had a chance to stop by, I know they have this at R-Corp. That's the one I've gone to. Is that the only one, or is it someplace else?
The only one for now.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's where my home is. I can always get coffee out of there. All right, so that's cool. All right, so that's coffee. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one's a big one that everybody got really, really excited about, which was ship-to-ship refueling. Got a chance to finally do it yesterday. Went out with Pops and Fist and said, hey, we better do this before we know what we're talking about for the show. I knew it in theory, and I'd watched plenty of videos with it, but it was actually a very cool mechanic to do. Pops, let me hit you first on this one. What do you think about now this whole thing of being able... by the way, I ran out of fuel for the first time in the game today.
You did?
I literally ran out of fuel for the first time today. I was we were doing that bunker mission. I was with Colossal. He had a Cutlass Red, but he flew there in a Pisces. I forgot.
Right.
I forgot that he came from freaking Orison in the Pisces.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you want me to fly your ship back? I said, let's go to Hurston. He said, I said, where do you want to go? He said, well, I really was at Orison. I'm like, okay, well, let's go to Orison. Well, I'd forgotten he came from Orison. So we're in Quantum, and next thing you know, I'm like, uh-oh, lights are going red. I'm like, oh, hecky no. This sucker wasn't full. So, needless to say, he had to come get me. I had to leave his Pisces in space. because there is no beacon. And for some reason, global chat would not let me put in, hey, is there somebody with a Starfarer? So I missed out on the opportunity of getting a refuel, which sucked. I was looking forward to that. So, Pops, what do you think about refueling?
Well, first I'd like to shout out to the fellas that rifled through my pockets today. Robert and Colossal, my son. But and also you, Griff, because you are in trouble. And we talked yesterday because see, now you got me wanting to get one, a Starfarer. It just the whole loop, doing it. The UI is beautiful. It stands out in the way it functions. It makes sense. I can't wait till they add the next game loop into it, to the refinery end of it.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Kalrati, thoughts on the refueling?
Yeah, so I'm really glad that they didn't wipe, because I went and banked on the fact that they wouldn't wipe for 3.17, and I saved up and bought a Starfarer in 3.16.1. So in game, I have a Starfarer, and it's been a blast, So I was really impressed by the UI for it, especially as a T0. It feels really, really nice, and even though we may not necessarily see the immediate need for it because of how we have so much access to fuel and everything, and refueling ports in different places in Stanton, I think it's going to become really, really handy and really needed in places like Pyro, especially, be it from players and NPCs as well, because who knows, we may not actually see stations to refuel at, but we may see NPC Starfarers to fuel at, and that can be dangerous too. So so being able to use it as someone who was refueling, and as someone who was being refueled by someone else, it was really refreshing to see. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to more functionality out of it, especially with regards to the refining part of it. But in terms of just the ship-to-ship refueling, excellent job reusing what they had with regards to the ship to ship and ship to station docking. So excellent job in reusing that.
Let me jump on something you just said, because this may be something for all of us to learn from. Nobody knew, none of us knew, not to the degree that we know now, the complete direction CIG was going to go with the Starfarer. We knew it was a refueler, but that was pretty much it. We had the rumors about, because it had the intake in the front, that you could take in gaseous clouds and things like that, right? But we didn't completely know, and we actually kind of forgot about the Starfarer. We just figured it's not there. But the thing that is very cool is that when you go into the Starfarer, for those of you who have not gone to the panel that you go to, we can see they've got refueling and they've got refining already there, right? So there's going to be a whole nother game loop process that's going to be designed for using this ship for that. And all those panels in the back of the ship, you can access those. They work. It is definitely a great multi-crew ship. Can you do it by yourself? Yeah, but you're taking a huge risk. I mean, that's a huge risk, okay? Just so you'll know, and Colossal, you may have to help me, or Kalrati, to fill this sucker up with fuel, you could spend $500,000. $500,000.
More.
If you fill it up. So you got to think about, do you want to take the chance on being out there by yourself, and you're not at the controls of that ship, and somebody comes and wants to either pirate you or lay onto you? There's the possibility of losing your ship either from combat or being pirated and somebody taking. That's a lot of cheese, as we would say, Monet, that you're putting at risk. I would highly suggest that you have 2 to 3 people whenever you're doing a fueling operation, if possible. This will connect to you because you did the refueling. I was on the Starfarer. You went out there on your Mercury, right? You piloted your Mercury. Did you have any problems docking? Anything? It didn't seem like you did.
No, it was actually it's just same way, same system as when you dock with the station or the Andromeda and everything. I mean, all you got to do. I mean, I would not manually dock it. I would line it up, and once you're lined up, hold in, and it will coast you right on in there and do it. So you don't break that nozzle, because if you break that nozzle, somebody on the other end gonna be
They're gonna be pissed off, and you don't get your fuel. Well, and you don't get your fuel, right? If you're empty, you're stuck, Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's something to think about. Unless you're just an ace pilot and you feel very comfortable manually controlling. If you got any doubts, it's better to just hold the end down. I'm just saying, if you got any doubts.
And you're right. But see, the thing about it though, when as I was watching it dock to the nozzle, at first I was like, well, where is this?
Where's the docking port, the port for it?
Exactly. But I realized on a Mercury Star Runner, it's off to the left side. So there's no way I'm doing that unless I'm going third person and I'm inching, you know what I mean? And I don't want to take that chance.
Yeah. That's a good point. Okay. Well, if you guys haven't tried the refueling, try it. It is so cool. And this definitely is something that completes a game loop for players. As you said, Kalrati, not a big need for it right now, except for the me today when I ran out of fuel. But, but when we get into other places like Pyro, and I mean, there are going to be some places where, for whatever the reason may be, you are going to run out of fuel. Now, right now, it's hard for us to perceive that because we do have Hurl L1, Hurl L2, Crew 3, Crew 4. We have all that. But there is going to be a time where something may happen for whatever the reason may be. And even if you're not out of fuel, you're low on fuel.
Exactly.
Until we get ships like the Liberator or some other ships to even move certain ships across space. For those of you who know, you can be in Stanton right now and can't get across in certain fighters. You have to stop someplace to refuel, and you have the luxury of places to stop right now. But when we get into Pyro, that may not be such a great luxury. In fact, those places you stop may be more threatening than it is to call for somebody with a fueler to refuel you. So
it may.
And I'm also. Okay.
I was just going to say that, you may not actually have the reputation to go to that place too.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So if you're UEE and they're not, then they aren't going to refuel you.
Yeah. Odie, they talked about that rework of the Starfarer, and it's more of a rework, I guess, because of the layout and design. I fell in love with the Starfarer, and I'm one of those people who does not get lost on it. I have no problems walking. I think that there are some people that do this because they're not on it enough and frequently enough. But I'm also one of the first people to say that they do need to rethink some layout aspects of it in the design. But I want them to keep everything on it. Just think about how they placed certain things so that there's more of a logical feel when you go on the ship, otherwise than having to memorize it because it's just certain things just don't make sense where they are. But you know what, the Starfarer, you've got they've talked about resources being able to come onto it, refining it. You've got a really decent sized cargo area on that ship too. So when you talk about going to homesteads or people's bases and dropping off and doing delivery, that ship can deliver water, food, hard resources, whatever it is. That ship is I'm telling you, it's a very, very flexible ship, not just about fuel, not just about refueling and refining, but it is like almost a great package if you're trying to deliver resources to people who are living someplace where stuff's just not there.
I gotta jump in because I'm sorry, Pops, go ahead.
Yeah. No.
Well, I was gonna say that I'm kind of really even though we did this yesterday and it was really short, I'm kind of mad at the gameplay loop in a way because it was so good that yesterday my dad came to me after we finished playing and said, "Son, we might have to buy this thing again." I was like,
I was waiting for him to say that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, here we go. I was like, all right. So I was like,
my reasoning for it is because it made me look at the impact, the economical impact that this ship is going to have.
Yeah.
Because when you buy your fuel from a space station, it's probably almost a set price. But if you're sitting right outside a space station and you're selling because you're refining it, you're doing it, now you're impacting the price at that space station right there because the people are filling up. You've got, what do you call any other game? You'll call them the fuel rats.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you put these ships in the right places, you're going to cause an economic impact in the area.
Yeah.
Certainly will.
Yeah, there's a whole, again, we're only seeing so much behind the veil of what CIG has set up for this. Whether you're refueling players, whether it's NPCs, whether you get a call from some remote moon that says, here's our harvesting place and our pumps went down. We need you to deliver water to us, right? I mean, there's so many things they could do. Gaseous mining that can happen in the game. There's a lot of flexibility for what they can do in here over time. So I would say and not to be funny, those of us who remember when we bought the Starfarer started out at like 165, 175, and even before this mechanic got implemented, it jumped to $300. You know, so I would tell you work for it in game if you can. If you think it's something that you want to do and really get into, and obviously to support the development, I think it's a decent buy for what it can do. Just because I named all the different things, it's not just contained to the refueling aspect, but you got to have some deep pockets to run this sucker. Not to be funny.
Oh yeah,
half million to fill the tanks, gang.
Well,
unless you're running hydrogen. If you're running no hydrogen, you gave me 100, and I only filled that one Quantanium tank up 25% or 20%. It was like 40,000. It was like 40,000 just to do that. It was no joke. So Colossal's done it. He's filled like the whole freaking thing up.
Yeah, he said it was 700.
Yeah, it was some crazy amount. Yeah, it was like 600, 700. It's a lot if you just do all Quantanium.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Now, the only reason why you do all Quantanium, to be honest with you, is if you were moving a fleet across space.
Yeah.
And that's all they're going to take, because they're not going to use hydrogen. But if you want to be general purpose, you got to have a little bit of Quantanium and a little bit of hydrogen. So you need to have a little bit of both.
Now, before we move on, though, we'll say this. Now, I had to take this from my buddy Colossal, who's out there. He said, if y'all are out there and y'all got your Starfarer and y'all price gouging, you will get blown up.
Yeah, there might be somebody to get pissed off and blow you up, I guess. You know? Yeah. All right. What was it? He says, I do 4 quantums and 2 hydrogens. Yeah. But that's still expensive.
All right.
That's
that's pricey.
That ain't cheap. Okay, let's move on. We're gonna get past this refueling piece. What do we got next? We got shopping and selling. Many of you all may have noticed that the kiosks changed. CIG went to building blocks. We finally got away. As you all know, we were in Flash, and it's been for years. They've been transitioning out, and now we have building blocks. And Kalrati, I'll go to you first on this. How do you feel about the interface? I know, like always, there's always tweaking, could be better.
Yep.
But for the first iteration on these kiosks, what do you think about the style, the look, operation, all that stuff?
It was so welcoming. I'm sure everybody was really glad to get selling finally in the game with regards to the lootable merchandise and all those things. Mm-hmm. It was so refreshing, and yes, it could be better, but for a first version, it's well done. I have to say well done, especially with giving us the ability to actually enter by typing whatever quantity we want. I mean, it's not necessarily working just yet because things like, even if you have multiple items of the same version or nature, it doesn't stack. So maybe that's the reason why if you type in a number greater than 1 to sell, it's not actually going to do that for you, but the functionality is there. All right. So that's the main thing. So it was really nice to see, and it wasn't hard to navigate, I would say. So you have the quick sell, you have the quick buy, and it was really nice to see that. And especially if you have certain items that you have to sell or buy, you kind of have an idea of, okay, if I were to sell a med gun at a weapons store or at the armor store, I'm going to get it. I'm going to sell it for less compared to if I were to sell it at a hospital. It's kind of weird that I can sell ammo, I think, at the hospital, but hey, who knows what they do with that? But who knows? But yeah, once again, overall, it was really welcoming to see.
Okay. Pops, what about you? As far as the selling, because I know buying's not a big deal. We've been buying forever, but how do you feel about the trade, the way the consoles are set up?
Yeah, Kalrati. He's exactly because I went there into the pharmacy. I'm like, why does the pharmacy want to buy my bullets? But now it's half the price if you take it to the store. But difference between 3 and 6 wasn't But yeah, that was kind of strange. But the UI looks great. It's gorgeous, and I'm quite sure they are going to tweak it.
Yeah.
From here. Now, this may be my personal problem because I'm quite sure probably other people just probably run smoother. But the quick buy button was kind of slow. Did anybody else have that? It was kind of slow and it was just in the clock and it was just kind of going.
It can be slow from time to time. I think it's server based. Okay. But yeah, it because that actually prevented me from, on the selling side of things, because I had about, I think, 15 med guns. And because it took me took me about 6 seconds sometimes, but that was still slow compared to the other times. But because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna bother with this. I'm just gonna leave the medguns there and just go my way. But yeah, it can be a bit slow sometimes.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anyone. Thanks, Cry.
Yeah.
Fist, what do you think about the UI? This whole thing with the trade.
Oh man, when I first saw it and jumped in, I was like, "Damn, this is good. This looks good." I haven't had any issues with it. As you were speaking about it, though, Pops. As far as I haven't sold anything, so I can't say anything on that part of it. But as far as buying stuff from it, yeah, I mean it's flawless. I mean, like I said, if there's improvements to be made upon it, I mean it's already good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask a question. The old one I do remember was alphabetical. Are these items alphabetical? Because I felt like they weren't. For some reason, I felt like items were like kind of all over the place.
Yeah, from what
I know they're. I know when you buy a suit, like for example, when you buy an armor set,
right?
They're in the same vicinity of each other. They're not like
but they're not
example,
alphabetical like they were before, like the ADBs and. Like, you know what I mean? At least maybe I'm wrong, guys. I don't remember, chat, if you guys remember, but I thought that was the only thing that I kind of was like, why didn't they keep these alphabetical? Because at least before, you know how they flow. I just want a way to search. Okay, search and filter via name. Yeah.
Were they? They were alphabetical. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it might have been me.
Yeah, like they did say that everything is together. And another wonderful thing, I don't have to go to PO to Art Court to get the whole set.
Yeah.
It's all right there.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yep. That was always a problem because there was one piece of armor that I liked that I could buy every piece except for the legs there. I had to go like to some weird station to get the legs. Drove me nuts. But yeah, hopefully they'll get that together too. For me, the interface, I thought it was beautiful. You definitely see the difference in it graphically, which was really nice. The categories are nice. I'm still a little iffy about the fact that they sell some items out of the ammo store, like med pins and stuff. Now I noticed in R Corp, they took away, you used to be able to buy water in those, what do they call them?
The soda cans, you mean?
No, the dehydrated stuff. It comes in little brown packages.
Now
the R Corp store, they took the food and those out. You can't buy no food and water there, right? But if I'm remembering correctly, at Port O, you could still buy those dehydrated things there. I think you can still get, you can get water at Kasaba. See, like Waba, like you shouldn't be buying water at Kasaba, but there's no food place at Port O either. So I kind of hope that they do kind of keep it where things should sell at, food places and, and med pins. I don't need to buy med pins in the gun store. That's kind of like scary to me when I'm doing that. I'd rather go someplace with a medical facility to buy those. But that's just the way it is right now. I get it.
I feel you, Griff. Because my thought just went through left. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying. Yeah, but be glad to see it. Now remember, I'll be glad to see when you can go and buy more than one soda
instead of one at a time.
Yeah, they put them in a. I guess they'll use a vending machine.
Yeah, the vending machines.
Yeah, they'll probably have a vending where you can. Well,
you should be able to at a store though, but at a store you should be able to buy bulk. The vending machine should be one item at a time. But to your point, Pops, when you go to the store, you should be able to say, like we do with anything else, right? We put down a quantity of 6, quantity of 5. You should be able to just put that number in, and that's what you can buy. Somebody put out a video. They found some weird cheat or workaround that allows you to buy stuff in bulk in the game. And I wish I'd kept it because I kept saying I was going to go back to it and watch it. So you guys might want to, put it in the search thing in YouTube. But there was a guy who figured out some weird way to buy things in bulk so that you wouldn't have to go one by one by one by one by one. Okay. By the way, let me say something here because somebody in chat said something really cool. It was it Synchronosis? No, it was Cade. Smoothies at Kasaba and all smoothies restore both hydration and nutrition. If you guys have not done it, don't ignore in your Moby Glass. When you go into the different things that talk about like violations and all that stuff, there's a thing there about nutrition. go read it, because certain drinks, there are certain buffs and things that these different things do. And drinking like the smoothies gives you the highest quality level of hydration and health. There are some things that dehydrate you faster. Ultimately, oh wow, Big Black Gaming, as always, thank you so much for those bits. Wow, 1,000 bits, we appreciate that. But those smoothies are the best thing to get. So make sure that you guys find time to go in and check out those things, because they are significant. Because they're going to start implementing that stuff in game, and it will affect you eventually.
Exactly.
So don't ignore that. Yeah. So let's we're on trade, right? So we're going to move past trade. Forgive me here. I'm reading a bunch of messages all at once. Okay. Next one up. Mining gadgets. Those of you who are into mining. I remember when mining gadgets came out, there was a little bit of controversy amongst players. Because they were like, well, now you're letting a prospector person do what a mole person can do, right? You know, prospector can only get a rock so big, and now you're making it so they can crack these big rocks. So why have a mole? And ultimately, and I understand the argument, I get it, but at first, I guess the way they presented, when ISC presented that video with the developer who was talking about himself going out and mining, and he realized he couldn't break this rock. I think that the distilled answer to this is, if that rock was 100,000 pounds, a prospector can only take so much with it. So breaking a big rock does not make you richer, basically. It really doesn't. What it does do is say that a prospector can work and break down that rock, but that prospector is going to need somebody to transport that quantanium. And so, because if they fill up their 4 bags, they only got 4 bags, they might be leaving 70% of that quantanium sitting out in space. So the reality is they can break it up and crack the rock and everything, but there will be other folks, maybe other prospectors or moles or whatever it is, that can access that material. So it doesn't hurt gameplay is basically what I'm saying. I think that people were worried about, will it hurt gameplay? There is that vulnerability side that when you're out there by yourself, you've got to place the unit, you've got to get back in your ship, you've got to mine it, and then you got to go back and get the unit. And the clock is ticking on that quantanium.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So it ain't just all that great necessarily. I think it's a great tool, but I'm saying there are caveats that you have to think about when you're using it. Fist, let me go to you. Did you monkey around with the gadget?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did you try all of them or one particular one or what?
Just one. We only did one. You know, I'm unfortunately, I mean, I don't have I didn't take out the prospector. We went out there in a mole. Okay. It was just me and my dad. So we came across a rock that we couldn't crack. I said, okay, well, let me pop it on there, and it worked. Okay. You know, like you said, it's those situations where you're in a prospector. You know, like we watched the Poets, you know, the other day crack a quantanium rock. He cracked that quantanium rock, but guess what? He left a lot of rock there because he couldn't fill it up. You know, so he left a lot of money on the table right there, and he couldn't grab it and go. So it's going to be a trade-off. Yeah. You know, I don't see, I mean, obviously you're not going to put one of these on an asteroid that an Orion can crack. You know what I mean? Right, so right. I don't really see that, you know, but I think it's cool. Okay. You know. Okay. Pops, did you go out with him when you did that?
Yeah, we went. And you know, I do have to say, when I spoke about the when I saw these on what was the ISC, yeah, it was a little, it was some saltiness there. I guess maybe if you want to call it a little bit of
gadget jealousy, baby, prospector man jealousy.
Jealousy, because I'm that kind of guy. I get jealous of gadgets. But yeah, I kind of thought about it. But then you know, after a while, after thinking about it, we talked about it several times. Yeah, you're right. There's still limitations besides this. And then, like, yeah, when the Poets did it, and I saw it, and I think we were there, and he had to get out his ship, and that's time. And time is Monet.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you decide you want to leave that sucker out there and take the hit. And,
Exactly.
the gadget he was using was like a $20,000 or $40,000 gadget, so you're not leaving that behind. You know what I mean?
They aren't cheap.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin, right?
And you gotta find it. You gotta find it, and then you gotta. Well, I'm sure they'll probably improve it, but we had a little bit of trouble at picking ours up.
Yeah, with all the stuff.
Once we got finished mining, you had to kind of wiggle this way, wiggle that way, to try to position your body so you could pick it up. So and all that's a big fact.
Okay, Kalrati, what do you think about the what people call the mini game? Because it's not really a mini game per se. But there is a little something that you have to do, right? You just don't place it on there and go, right? What did you think about what do you think they created something that's just challenging enough, but not so challenging that you could be too frustrated?
So before I start on that, I have to, jump into my temporary alternate ego and say, Colossal, you're lucky this I know soul voices where I could just pull you up and ask you where you're going for, but we go see later on. Anyway, so for the mining gadget, right, and the mini game, I think what they're actually trying to do is trying to see how much they can actually make that experience of single mining as condensed as possible. I really appreciate the kind of gamified version of using the mining gadget, because it kind of adds value added activity in some way while incurring some kind of time factor, but not necessarily adding non-value added time, right? So I consider it some kind of a value added time factor. So I appreciate it, and I think the whole reason behind these efforts is because once again they're really trying to figure out, okay, if we can make this as dense as possible, maybe they can actually extrapolate and expand on it to see, okay, how much they can actually expand on that for the multi-crew, the mole, the Orion especially. So I think that's their direction, their intention. So I'm curious to see if they have any other ideas, because once again right now, it just uses the same kind of stats like resistance, charge window, et cetera, that we've had before. But who knows, maybe they'll actually change that to reflect some other types of statuses when using the mining gadgets, and then build from that for the more multi-crew versions of mining. So, yeah.
Well, let me give you another thing, too. Those of you who are prospector miners, I'm a prospector miner, I'm a mole miner, but I'm a prospector miner. How many times did you get out there and find a rock that was 8,000, 9,000? After you've been out there like freaking 2 hours, you found a Quantanium rock and you can't break it. And you've been out there for 2 freaking hours. So you literally have to go find a rock that's 5,000 or less to try to crack it. I'm talking about even if you're using, what are the things called?
Helix?
No. Well, the Helix, but no. The consumables. You may be having all of that stuff, but there's some rocks you just couldn't break right now. And that's the only one. Every rock you've been finding is either hollow. Y'all know about them hollow rocks out there that ain't got nothing in them. Or you get those rocks that have nothing in them. You finally, after 2 hours, an hour and a half, come across a Quantanium rock, but the sucker's so big you can't do nothing with it. So, that's frustrating, right?
It is.
But now I can play. I can actually play. I can find that rock. Yeah, I left some behind, but at least I came back with a full load. No different than if I cracked that rock that was 5,000. I come back with a full load. I can at least do something. I'm not, and at the same time for the mole players, right? The mole, most of y'all know if you got a fully loaded mole with everybody, you can crack whatever's out there right now. So that's not a big deal. Yeah. But we also know that there are bigger rocks coming. It ain't stopping where we're at right now. And so you might be a mole player that needs to have that sucker to break a 20,000 rock that's out there. So don't throw shade on it, because your mole players might eventually need one of these suckers to break resistance or whatever it is too. So again, tier 0, first element, like you said, Kalrati, we don't know where. Every time we think they're done with mining, they find something else, right? And I hope they continue to do that with all the careers. They keep making them deep. They give you a lot of flexibility in them. Okay. All right. So that's the mining gadgets. Let's jump off mining gadgets and let's go to, ship and ship component inventory. Inventory in general got expanded. They actually increased the space of how much stuff you can now store on your ship. Also components now. You can buy your components, and before, when you bought a component, it stayed in the local inventory of wherever that place was, or unless you put it on your ship. But now you can actually get that quantum drive, that type 3 or type 4, and you can transport it to another ship. Maybe you have to buy them in Microtech, but you're based in ArcCorp. You can load them up. Thankfully, they did make it to say, though, but your ship's got to be big enough to carry it. So don't take your Pisces to go get the quantum drive for your freaking reclaimer, okay? Don't do that. Make sure you get your Constellation or whatever decent sized ship, your C2 or whatever, if you want to move those larger components around, okay? Fist, let me go to you. Are you happy about this now? Increased inventory space for your ship, for you, everything
I tried
else?
it. I tried it out. Actually, we tried it out last night because I went to, I think it was Hurl L1 to go buy the Helix and the Lancet, that they call it, the mining heads. And my mole was over at Everest. So in order for me to bring the mole over, you know, I didn't want to fly it. I was already in the MSR, so I just went over there, and it was just being able to just take it, drag and drop it from the station's inventory into the ship, and I transported it right back over to Everest and just popped it right onto my mole. I mean, when I thought about it, I was like, I was like, damn, this is cool, because now I don't have to, you know, I can keep my mole where my mining operation is. And let's say if I needed something, you know, from somewhere, I could just travel with my whatever ship you're using to go there to go get whatever you need, and then bring it to wherever you need to go. Yeah. And you know, it's one of those quality of life kind of things you don't really think about.
Yeah, that's cool. Good idea. Good point. Synchronous, to answer your question, is there something that we can purchase at the CIG store that does not come with LTI, lifetime insurance? Does it come with lifetime insurance? The answer is no. Anytime you want to get LTI, there's a couple times you can get it. One is when something comes out brand new as a concept. Usually, if it's just coming out for the first time, they will sell it as with lifetime insurance with cash. If you buy it with cash, not credit, no credit. Then there are other times when things will go on sale where they'll say, if you pay for it in cash, you can get LTI. If you pay with it in credit, you don't get it. Because Invictus is coming up in a couple of weeks, starting on the 20th, many of the ships will be going up for sale at that time. Okay. He's asking about Friends. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, he's asking about
I'm sorry. I missed it. What was the question? Is Friends something? Oh my God.
I was just
Oh, that's hilarious.
Just let you go.
No, yeah, nobody stopped me. I was wondering why Kalrati was chuckling. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he just let you go.
All right, he just let me go. These are the people I work with, y'all. They just let me just go out there and go crazy. All right, so never mind on what I was saying. I don't know. Okay, I'm tired. Okay, let's go back to this. Pops, inventory. Yeah. Fitz said you guys did move some things around. I think Jade mentioned this though, and this is a good point. We're also not able to sell some items like those component items yet. We can't sell them back. We can buy them, but we can't sell them back. How do you feel about that? Do you think CIG is going to make it where we buy certain things like that we can't, like resale? You know what I mean? We can sell them back to the manufacturer.
Yeah, well, I think they will, because we will have what do you call what's the other salvage. So I think we will run across
once salvage kicks in. That might be the
right,
time.
When salvage kicks in, I think they'll probably bring that feature in, because you're going to run across some guns and components and things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know about the not the Retribution. What's the other one? The Bengal that's out there, and you know, people's going to buy, strip it and sell it and take the components off of it if they're crazy enough to try to fix it up and take it. Yeah. But I just kind of the only one caveat I have is that it seemed like, maybe somebody else has the experience, but it seemed like the inventory spaces were unlimited, and I don't know if that's, you know, you shouldn't have.
No, they have maximums. They increased them.
Have a max. Okay,
they went from like 10,000 to 100,000 or something like that. Okay. They increased it, but you can max it out. You can max it out. And to your point, they're probably going to tweak it still. You know what I mean? Because ships, depending on ships, and like our backpacks, right? We got various sizes depending on the ship and everything. So they may tweak it even more than what it is.
Yeah, speaking of backpacks, I hope they get some matching backpacks to outfits.
Yeah, because some of them colors ain't going with my suit.
so.
I hear you, brother. That silver is the closest thing that
fashionista.
goes to my white. I want a white one. I need a white backpack. Yeah, I hear you, Pops. Kalrati, what about
Yeah, we
you?
need all kinds.
Inventory. Yeah, what about inventory? Anything you got, Pops?
Oh, yeah, I was so relieved when, they implemented vehicle-based, component-based inventory, because what I did this patch was that I actually started at Orison, because I wanted to move all of my components, all of my upgraded components from the previous patch to Grimhex. And of course I had my Starfarer, so it was so convenient to just put all those things into my Starfarer. I saw things that I didn't even know that I bought. I bought torpedoes. Like, when did I even buy torpedoes? I don't even have a torpedo ship. So it was really nice to see and be able to actually transport all those things. So I left Orison. And I just transported all those things to Grimhex, and I dumped it off. Of course, it was a bit tedious to transport, all those things, like, transfer the items bit by bit, but I mean, it's a start, right? And I really appreciated the ability to do this in the first place. And I'm very curious to see how it's going to function in terms of when we get physicalized cargo. For example, when our ships explode, will we be able to have some of the stuff that we kept, and what fraction, what decisions or criteria that they'd use to really decide, what we can actually salvage from those explosions or crashes. So yeah.
Interesting.
I would like to say, because he brought out something when he talked about the torpedoes, right? And being able to move things, because somebody brought up about the Starfire we talked about earlier, Xeno threat coming in, people refueling and doing stuff like that. This will be something, I don't know how the mechanic will work, especially with your, retaliators that are out there, bombing stuff, you'll be able to transport, torpedoes in that C2 or M2 to them. And I don't know how that mechanic would work, where you'd be able to offload them to the retaliator, right there in space.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, because even when we've talked about like the Vulcan, right, with restock, refuel, rearm, I'm curious about what the capability of that is, like how big, like maybe size 5 torps are the biggest thing that you can do. You know what I mean? Because they're big. When you get into size 9 torpedoes, those are monsters. Now whether a Vulcan can, maybe it can, I don't know. Like you said, maybe there will be something that drone can literally take them out there and load them back in. It'll be interesting to see, like you said, Fist, whether or not we can start moving inventory like that. Because I don't know how, when I think about it, smaller ships, I get it. But like big ships, like how big can the Vulcan really restock, refuel, rearm inventory? Are you pulling it out of inventory? I'm assuming you're pulling it out of inventory and you're going to put it on the drone. Drone takes it out there and refills that ship. How's that going to happen? I don't know yet. But that's a good point. That's a real good point.
Y'all made me think about a business for Kalrati called Kalrati's Torpedo. And I can see in my mind Gigi walking by and Kalrati saying, "Hey, baby, you need a torpedo?"
Oh no.
Wait.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't start no trouble, Pops. All right, don't start no trouble.
If you do it, but I just.
That's almost as bad as you want a burrito, but we'll just go and move on beyond that.
I'm doing a go man.
Okay, yeah. Go man.
I was just thinking of go man.
Go man. Oh God, yeah.
Not a good job.
On that note, we're going to move on.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go on to our 10th topic for the day, which is ships and vehicles. And wow, who would have thought a Hull series ship would have stirred like it has, right? I mean, Hulls were like the ship that people could have cared less about a year ago. They're too vulnerable. Oh, who's going to carry their cargo on the outside? Blah, 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 blah. And man, oh man, people are excited about this ship. Kalrati, I'll start with you on this one. Give me your thoughts. What do you think about this Hull A now that we have it?
Yeah, so I've been using my Hull A courtesy Bar Citizen Win-Win, booyah. I've been using that Hull A, constantly. I've actually put my Aurora MR to rest for now, which is surprising. But I've been using it throughout the entire verse, just to, role play the whole feeling of trade and those things. And I really, really love the interior. I'm really glad that they were able to, get all of the physics proxy and, blend the physics quirks together to make it work, to be able to see that thing come to life. And it's a really, really, really nice ship, both exterior and interior. I love the flow. I can't wait until the more physicalized components and cargo comes online, because I've just been, just living it out. I've been going between Crusader, Hurston, Microtech, ArcCorp, just selling things, just landing there, selling them wherever I go. And I haven't actually been or slept at a station since, because I have been drilling bedlogging, because as we know, bedlogging can be hit or miss between the patches, but it's been so reliable. And as a result, it's been such a nice experience just living in the ship, just going from place to place, doing your stuff. So hats off to CIG. I cannot wait for the larger hulls as well.
Okay. Pops, let me go to you on this question. What are some things that you would like to see mechanics wise added to the Hull A? We're getting the first iteration of it. Like right now, for example, cargo boxes are on there, right? Do you want to see them put a mechanic in? It's like there's a button you could push so that if you needed to eject cargo, what would be some things you want to see on the Hull A?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. The cargo being able to be released. I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly how it, when physicalized comes in and they actually have to put it on, tractor beam it on. If that ship, I think, should need a tractor beam. I think so. I think that's one of the things I would like to see that ship have. The only thing that I enjoyed about this ship, and this is my favorite feature on that ship, is the light switch by the bed. And you can turn the lights down low, and you can flash and red lights in it. Yeah, that's my favorite feature on that ship.
Yeah. Okay. This Hull A, do you own one? Are you interested in them? If you weren't interested, are you interested now, or still not your cup of tea?
I'm gonna say not yet. I mean, we had at one point, was it a Hull E?
E. Yeah, we had an E.
Yeah, we had an E at one point until we saw it. We said, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, that's a whole lot. Whoa. That's a whole lot.
Because, when you get into Star Citizen, it's one of those things where it's like, you start buying stuff and, that little kid in your head, yeah, let's go get this, let's get that. Oh my gosh, bigger is better. And then it's like, wait.
No. Yeah, that was a wait. Yeah, that was a wait. I agree. I agree.
So, yeah, we rewound that on one and said, nah, this ain't gonna work out. So I think they're definitely a good ship. Right now for me, I own a M2, so I don't really need to do that and buy one. If I want to run cargo.
Right.
But I think it's a nice ship. Sturdy. Sturdy, very sturdy, in terms of what it can take damage. We were testing some things out earlier today on it.
I'm gonna speak up on behalf of my buddy Colossal, who is a huge MISC lover, and I would say this is probably the best redesign of the MISC ships that we've seen, and we can see that this is the direction that they're going to go. The earlier versions kind of had like a throwback, almost like a Buck Rogers, and I'm talking about Buck Rogers like when my parents was Buck Rogers, not the one that came out in the 80s. But it had a certain feel to it. This has a much more streamlined, modern feel. Kalrati said it about the interior. They did a really nice rework on the interior. And those of you who don't know, MISC ships are going to get probably one more rework, because much of what you see in ships like the Freelancer and stuff are all placeholders. And they've already had one or two reworks on it, but this seems like this is it. They've nailed it, because if you look at the pictures they showed us of the Hull C, it looks just like this on the inside as well. So my guess is that MISC is going to have this much more streamlined look. Even notice nobody complained about the view out the front window even. There's just a different design that they've done with this. The panel feels good. It's a one-person ship. It's got a nice sized bathroom, living area. It's got the airlocks in it, all the things that need to be implemented. So if CIG does do that, then they will have hit a serious mark for me, even with MISC ships aesthetically, even though they're very practical ships, aesthetically, the ship is really attractive to me. And kudos to you guys at CIG for doing this, because the rework on it is really, really, really nice. And the animation, of course, is just amazing. No matter how many times I look at that animation. And the funny thing about the the funny thing about it though, Pops, is that it looks like it actually would work that way. You know, I mean, it's one thing when you just create something because it's an animation, but when you watch the pistons and the way certain things turn and the way the wings fold in, and it's like somebody really put some freaking thought behind this thing. You know what I mean? To collapse this thing. And Fastcard has always talked about the fact of, imagine watching a hull C or a hull E. When that thing closes and shuts down, it's going to be an amazing thing to see. So if they've done it here, we know all they're going to just expand it out. It's going to be amazing to watch that happen. So kudos for that.
I'm in the belief that it's done by engineers. They must have consultants.
Somebody knew what they were doing.
They must. Because when I walked through that ship and I looked through it,
it's very nice.
From the bathroom to the cockpit, it makes sense. Everything is
the layout is nice, right? The layout is nice, right? And we can see the difference in functionality when we talked about the Starfarer. Starfarer is nice, but that layout needs to be done a little bit differently. Let me say this too real quick. I know many of you all have been wondering, because the hull A wasn't the only ship that was supposed to come out in 317. We were also looking for the RSI Scorpius, and CIG did state on Spectrum that they are looking to produce that ship in the month of May. And we can assume, if we want to, that would probably be during Invictus. Because of it being a fighter ship, it would be the perfect time for them to launch that ship as well. So even though we don't have it right now, they did say May is when, and we kind of expected that it would be a 3.7 point something when it would come out. So keep your eyes open for it, because I think all of us are anticipating the Scorpius and seeing what that's going to be like. Okay. All right, let's move on. We're knocking them out, gang. That was number 10. We're on number 11. Weapons and items that are carryable. Some of you all seen this storage box, the box that you can go down into the storage area and buy. From my understanding, it is a 1/4 SCU in size, if that's what I remember hearing. But we're going to talk about a little trick that some folks have been able to do. I'm going to put the video in rudely, because I forgot to put it into the thing the way I should have before we started the show. But you guys know that you can go down to the cargo docks, and there's a new area called miscellaneous in there. And if you go to miscellaneous, you can buy one of these boxes, and you can take these boxes with you when you go out to do FPS stuff. If you want to load it up with all your loot, then you can load it up. They are persistent. If you put them on your ship, they stay. By the way, I want to tell you guys about persistence. Yesterday, I went into a terrapin. I put a box in there. I put a rifle in the rifle rack. I put a pistol in the pistol rack. I left, came back several hours later, did some other stuff, pulled the terrapin out, and everything was still there. You know, guns were usually kind of flaky. They wouldn't always be there. They were still there. So the persistence thing is getting better, is my point, because normally we just don't want to leave stuff there. And I'm not talking about in the inventory. I'm talking about in the gun racks. The stuff worked. Colossal had put a pistol in the carrack the other day. We came back like 48 hours later. He opened up the gun rack. The pistol was still there. So we may be at that point, gang, where, you know, you can start putting things into those places, because as you know, if you put it in inventory, other people on your ship can't access it. But if you put it in the gun racks, other people can utilize those items. Okay. Kalrati, let me pull this other image up real quick. Guys, I know y'all, I don't like to do stuff that looks really unprofessional, but I really forgot to put this video in earlier because we were counting down to the show starting out. This is the video I'm talking about. Fist, tell them about this video. Who was all in this video when you all did this? That's Colossal, y'all, with his hairstyle. Just so y'all know who that is. We want to identify who decided to put their big mug in the picture. But you'll notice two boxes here. And you'll notice a big gun on their ship that they thought they were going to fit in a box. Don't ask me why, y'all. They thought they was going to put that gun in the box. But if you look behind, there's a small box, which is the one we're talking about that you can carry. But there's also a 1 SCU, a big box there. So Fizz, tell them about that box there. How did you guys get that?
Okay, so unfortunately, this is the thing that happened earlier. We were doing some testing to keep the story short. We were doing some testing on the Hull A, And Colossal yesterday was saying about a mechanic that it came online that he thought was coming up, that he had did some damage to a ship, and he thought that, you know, ship component damages was in the game yet, because his shields were not coming up. So we said, let's go out and test this to make sure that this is working. So we went out, brought the hallway out there, and unfortunately, you know, we had a whole bunch of stuff already on my hallway, and as we were shooting it, we blew it up. So that's where that big box came from. If you guys
don't know, let me tell you about that. There is a game mechanic, guys. If you put something on a ship and blow it up, it automatically creates this box for you in space. And then you just have to use a tractor beam to bring it in. Okay.
Yeah. And this is Raba's ship. This is Raba's
Avenger.
Avenger, right. So we just we used the tractor beams to push it in there. And unfortunately, when we were blowing up, I think we were testing it out on the Argo, what was it, the raft? And we blew, and Colossal blew off the guns. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take this gun. I'm going to see if I can sell it. So I put it on Robert's ship to see if we could sell it. And I tractor beamed it in there, and unfortunately I can't sell it. We couldn't do it. So I was like, damn, you know.
Acknowledging 0.0.
Yeah, we was trying.
Tier 0.5.
Yep. So the moral of the story is that big old gun is not gonna fit in the box, y'all. Okay, that's the reason why we show you this. We just want you to know they tried for science. They tried to make it happen, but it's not gonna happen. All right. But those smaller boxes, you can carry them around. You can put ammo, weapons, whatever it is inside of them, and you can take those boxes and then you can trade and sell that stuff. So now that's one of the reasons why the boxes are there, to help you be able to sell items. Okay. Anybody from the panel got anything to say about that? Because it's pretty straightforward stuff with the boxes.
Nope. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I wish we could have really tested it out, because realizing using those boxes have a good use for when you're going down into the bunkers.
Yes.
You know, when you're trying to move something from I guess from the loot boxes into, you know, those boxes, I would assume it would be, you know, easier thing to do, because
inventory,
first put it in inventory, then you got to drop it, then you got to, or whatever you have to do. So it's definitely a convenience. So definitely make sure you bring one if you're going out there, you know, to do some. Bring a couple of them, actually, you know. So shoot, and then you can just track the beam them up.
That's good advice.
I just want to say this is a Go Mad box. Okay. That's all I got to say about that.
Go Mad box.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Let's cover something else here. We're going into this, and you guys have been hearing about this for a little bit now. DNA head textures. CIG has been working on this. It's like a continual effort to refine our characters and being able to create them. And I know people say that we have a very limited character creator, and we do. We're used to some games where there are multiple things that we can affect. Some games you can affect weight, height, variation in skin tone. Like here they have them already preset, but usually you may be able to gradiate it more. Certain hairstyles that we look forward to, eyes, all types of things, right? Some of those things we do have in here, but then there are a lot of things that we don't have. But it seems like CIG has really been focusing on the realism side of this. Now, for some people, they may not care about it. I mean, some people, they just jump in the game. They don't spend time creating a character. They just go with that default, and they just want to get into the game. They never look at their own person. They don't care. And that's cool, because that's the way they like playing the game. Then there are other people who are crazy like me, who will spend 30 minutes creating their character. Even when I know the character is going to get wiped, I will still come back and spend 30 minutes. Actually, I've got it down to like 30 seconds now. But I will spend time creating a character. I want to show an image, because Fist to Face and I were talking about this a little while ago. I hope I still have the image. It was for Ashes of Creation. Now, Ashes of Creation has a very cool character creator. They've been showing it. The detail, the level of detail that you can do in their character creator is almost stupid, to be honest with you. I mean, it's really, 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 really detailed. And what they did, where they have the detail, even though they're using Unreal. What are they using?
Unreal 5. They're moving to Unreal. It's still 4.
Is it still 4?
It's still 4. But they're moving to 5.
They're moving to 5. Even though what they have is really, really nice, the detail level isn't, to me, isn't there yet. It's really close though, y'all. When I say really close, I mean it's really, really close. Let me see if I can show it to you. I'm gonna put it in the box and pop it up on my screen. I thought I had it in here already, but I didn't. So take a look at this. And again, very elaborate controls that they have. But this is what theirs looks like. And when you look at the video, it looks good. Their video looks good. But when I put it side by side to CIG's, and this is pre-DNA, what they just did recently, to me, the one on the right looked better than the one on the left, even though the one on the left had more hairstyles, more variants, complexion, everything else. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Ashes of Creation. I think both of them, as they continue to develop, because both games are in development, they're going to get better. It's just that they put more focus on features that you can able to change. CIG has dealt more with the realism side of it. So I'm hoping that we'll see a merging of both those things, right? Where you can have the goatees and the beards and tattoos and all that, and at the same time have all the realism side that we see that CIG has been focusing on with this thing. So, and to the point where people like Colossal, I hate to say this, Colossal's person looks like him, which was really, I've seen a few people actually make avatars that look like them. Yeah, he got lucky. Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on this with the DNA stuff? Because, moist eyeballs freaked some people out for a little while. So what do y'all think about that?
I guess I'll jump in. Really, to me, I don't know if this will be a feature, but I believe there is a software out there, and I'm not sure if CIG could do it, but you could actually take a picture of your face and you can implement it. Right, and you can implement it, because I think it was MetaHuman. I think it was, because MetaHuman actually can work with Unreal Engine 5. And because they have a streamline thing, and you can, MetaHuman, looks lifelike.
Well, let me tell you this. Right. In 2018, CIG actually took rigs down to CitizenCon and literally took people who were from the community and used their faces. And in fact, there's a face in the game that I swear I know is Meyer. I swear I know Meyer's features came from this particular feature. Right. And it's that when we did the reunion, the guy who comes out of that prison looks like Meyer. He has Meyer's features that I think they used. That's not Meyer's face, but some of the features I think they pulled from Meyer. So they do have the capability. Now, whether they grant that capability to us via webcam,
I think,
we'll see.
Right. It's possible, and that I think that's a wonderful thing to be able to have as a feature in this game, because like you said, again, a lot of people, me personally right now, unless I'm doing like, a video or something like that, I won't spend that much time on, character creator right now. But when a game really goes live, that's when I will, because that's when it will count, right. So, like you said, I know people who spent hours, and I'm not talking about in this game, I'm talking about other games, just spend hours in the game and, being able to do that, and they love it,
Yep, good point. Okay. Kalrati?
Yeah, I see the whole improvements behind the DNA character customization thing as something that I think in a USPU SC Live, they were talking about NPC archetypes, right? And we know that eventually they want to generate these procedural characters so that they work in terms of their environments, what they say, how they look based on where they're from and what they're doing, etc. So not only, I think are they adding value to the depth of the character textures on their faces and such, but I think especially when it comes to creating the hero mission givers, they wouldn't necessarily need to add as much handcrafting implementations if the procedural side of things are just as believable. So being able to, integrate this into the whole NPC archetype that they may be, talking about for both Squadron 42 and, the PU would be so much value added in terms of speed, in terms of, less time having to do those things manually. So, if that is the case, I'm very, very, very impressed by all of this. And I hope, to see more of it in terms of where they go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Pops, this level of detail, I notice a lot of times CIG does these really tight shots, right? Like you're looking literally into the pupil, the iris of these characters, or seeing the pores on the skin. most of us aren't walking up to people and staring in their faces like that, right? Do you think CIG, like we've said before, maybe there's something more we don't know about as to why there's so much work going into this level of detail? Because if you're standing off at a distance in somebody, you can kind of have a general look of what their face looks like, and that satisfies most people. But do you think that maybe there's something deeper here, like how we never expected VoIP, right? We didn't know that the voice over IP was going to come into the game. We thought that you'd have to have a special camera to control faces, but all of a sudden that came into the game. Do you think that maybe there's some grander thing maybe at CIG might be working on?
Well, VoIP, this is the first game I've ever seen with VoIP, first of all. The eyes of as they, which is true, it's old, it's corny, I know. The eyes are the pathway to the soul. Eyes don't look right, it's not going to look right at all. But I think we may be forgetting one thing, is that we are going to be more than just with a helmet on.
Yeah,
we're going to be standing in front of each other. We're going to be standing in front of NPCs. And if that doesn't look right, the game itself is not good. The face-to-face has to look right. Ships look great. Face-to-face has to look right.
That's great that you would say that, because I am thinking about other games, right? Like Call of Duty or whatever it is. I mean, I'm not sitting there looking at people with a helmet off their head, their face, their hair. You know what I'm saying? Those things aren't, I just need to see enough of their face, right? But when we get to the game where it means something to go to Wally's Bar and you can't go in uniform, or like they're getting ready to open up the Oza restaurant, right? Maybe you have to be dressed a certain way when you go in, right? I mean, there's all types of cool things that could tie into why, like we've talked about clothing, right? The need for why are all these casabas, right? All these different things. Is it just because people want to buy clothes, or will it mean something to have certain clothes on to participate or go somewhere in the game? And so, like you said, Pops, maybe the way people look will mean more, because we're not just always walking around with a helmet on now, right? And to distinguish people, to see different people. Because if I walk up to Kalrati, but there's another person that looks just like Kalrati. Which one is Kalrati? You know what I mean? Right. But that level of detail, like I said, could mean more than just individuality. Like, we all like customizing stuff, right? We have our own uniqueness. But I'm just curious about this level of detail thing, whether there's going to be more. Because obviously, like if you get hailed by somebody on your ship, their face pops up. Right. And you see them talking to you, or maybe they'll do that on the Moby glasses eventually. In fact, at one point, the Moby glass did have video on it. If you remember, when we first saw the, what was old boys, the mission, Kalrati, the dude who gave us the mission.
Oh, yeah.
The dude in the bar.
It was. Yeah.
Eckhart,
yeah. Miles Eckhart.
You used to pull up your Moby glass in his video, and he'd be talking to you on your Moby glass. They never did implement that for us, but they teased us with it, So
to go to the our insider thing with the moist eyes, and this is to the ladies. If you don't do hair right, don't do it at all.
I mean, that's for the ladies. Yeah.
Well, it's for us too, because we have to look at them.
Oh yeah.
We want them to look right. So it's both sides of the coin.
We want them to look right. I agree. I agree with that.
Don't do it at all, and I believe they're going to do it right.
Oh, they will.
And that's why they're taking the time on the ponytail.
Yeah, they will.
So what you're saying is basically, Pops, fix your weave.
You know what? Y'all really want the women to start hating on us, man. What is wrong with y'all? Y'all just flipped y'all ears today, Jack. I'm trying to keep what few women we got watching the show as it is. Holy smoke. Y'all ignore these two cats, boy. These two dudes. By the way, this is New Soul. I want you to understand that. This is New Soul that's saying this stuff. Any opinions about hair should not be associated to this show. Y'all too funny. No, I know. Klaus will say, yeah, and it's Mother's Day. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, Pop Star. No, if they gonna do it right. I agree 100%. We don't want no jacked up hair, because not to be funny, they claim this stuff is unisex hair. It's kind of like, it ain't even unisex hair. I don't know. I ain't seen nobody ever walk around with too many of these hairstyles. So I don't know where these hairstyles came from, but whatever the case may be. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about locations. Some of you all already know this. They have updated the inventories on low orbit stations and landing zones, that each will now have their own separate inventory. Now, we got real spoiled in 3.16 because it was very cool to let's say you were mining in your prospector, it was very cool to take your refined minerals and go to Everest Harbor, right? And leave your mining ship there, right? Easy to fly into, easy to land, nobody's messing with you. And then get into your Pisces and fly down to Lorville and sell your stuff that was up at the space station. That ain't happening no more. That's gone.
Bye-bye.
That's gone.
Adios.
It's gone. You have got to now fly those materials down from space, out of orbit, down to the planet. Maybe you'll load them into a Hull A or whatever, but whatever the case is, there's no connection between the orbital station and your base. That's gone. Kalrati, you like it? You love it? You hate it? Don't care? I knew it was coming. What's your thoughts on it?
I knew it was coming from a mile away, but it's good that they're slowly, kind of implementing it, because imagine the shock that we would have had if you went from that to just full-on local physicalized infantry.
Yeah.
So, what I think we're noticing is that they're kind of easing us into the whole physicalized environment, right?
Yes.
So right now, they are no longer shared. And then eventually when, we do have to literally, when we go to the station, we can't pull up the local inventory anymore. We'll have to go to a locker to open up the inventory. So it's going to be even more localized. So, I knew it was coming. I'm sure many knew it was coming as well. And I'm glad that they're slowly easing us into that whole atmosphere, So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's nice so that I can have more responsibility in terms of, okay, do I want to move this here? So I have to literally, think about these things more if I have to move, something from point A to point B. So it feels a lot more like I have to plan more, and it feels a lot more engaging for me. So
yeah.
Like it.
Fist, how you doing with it? Have you made the transition pretty comfortably?
Yeah, I was actually already kind of figured it was going to do the same thing as, like you said, Kalrati. Matter of fact, it's funny, we were talking about this yesterday. I was talking about it with Robert, and I said, it's going to come a point in the day where you're going to have to go to a locker.
Yeah.
Like Kalrati said, you're going to have to go to a locker, and I already knew, like, people are going to be pissed, because they're not going to have it in their minds, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna have to get out the ship, go here, go there, and put everything into this thing and pull it out, and I'm okay with it. I knew it was coming.
It was coming. Okay, cool. Pops, how about you? You transition okay, or you like the other way it was?
I was a little salty, but it was going to happen. It was going to happen. It wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
It was supposed to happen, and it was just a matter of getting used to it. That's the main thing. Just getting.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure all of you have done this before. Many of you have done this before, where you basically start spreading your inventory out over time, right? And it was cool to know that if I flew to Bajini, even though R-Corp was my home, it was kind of cool to know I could access my stuff right there. I didn't have to fly down, get on the train, blah, 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 do all the other stuff, right? But over time, you do start to spread your inventory out. You may buy your initial stock, but you make sure you got 3 of these uniforms at each station or whatever it is, however it is you got to do, right? I take all of my starter ships. I've got a starter ship at each station. So if I ever need to get in a starter ship, it's right there. If I want to grab one, you know what I mean? I don't take 40 seconds to spawn, but it's just kind of cool to kind of distribute my stuff throughout the system. But that's in one system. Imagine what's going to happen later. Like you said, Pops, or Kalrati, when we get hangars and your inventory is in your hangar, that's going to be a whole nother dynamic. So you're right, Kalrati. They're easing us into the psychological dynamic, not to mention cargo decks. For those of you who are mining and you mine your diamond, right? Diamond might be selling low right now, but you decide to put that stuff in the cargo decks and let it be there. And then when prices boom, or maybe you're mining only 20,000 units per week, but once you get up to 200,000 units, you're going to load up your whole C, and now you're going to move that stuff out of the cargo decks and take it to another system to sell it. There's a whole lot of dynamics that people are going to have to thinking about. This is that whole thing we've talked about before about logistics. So get yourselves ready.
Get ready.
It's going to be a lot of planning when it comes to moving things around. Okay. All right. Let's go on beyond this past locations. Let's talk about, gameplay. This is all listed, guys, in the notes, and we're just going to go through some of these. I'm just going to ask the guys to kind of pick 1 or 2 of these that that they kind of like. Ground vehicle signature emissions have changed. In other words, they've made some of the ground vehicles less detectable. You can't see them as so far away because they're smaller vehicles. Shield balance updates were done. Ship weapons polish pass. Player injury polish pass. You don't get hurt so easily now if you jump or fall. FPS weapons refactor. Hunger and thirst polish pass. Added keybind option for the tower for controlling ATC. You now have a button that you can push. And landing and take off. Let me go to Pops first. Pops, which one of these or two of these is the one that you are impressed with or you like?
Landing and taking off.
Okay, with the keystroke. Okay.
Yeah, that is very, very important. Should have been in the game a long time ago, but it's here now, and I'm very thankful. Mm-hmm. The other thing is injury, because I get killed a lot. So,
okay, not dying as fast.
Come save me.
Okay, all right. Fist, one or two of these you like?
Okay, so I'm gonna say player injury. I'm gonna start with that one first. Mm-hmm. Not just only for yourself, but for NPCs too. Mm-hmm. Because when we did a bunker mission, and I noticed I shot an NPC in their privates, and they held it, went down, and they were holding it until they died.
Wow!
And I was like, "Whoa!"
Okay.
I've never seen that animation before, and he was groaning and rolling all over the floor. And I was like, wow, okay, CIG, you did your thing on that one. Okay. But I would have to say that one. The other thing is, yes, of course, we know the rule all buttons is the call, the station. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, man. Do we realize how much that is such a quality of life thing right there?
Okay.
Just being able to hit a button.
Okay. Kalrati, what you gonna pick?
Yeah, well, to quickly touch on the injury side, I've noticed, I'm not sure if this was new to 3.17 or 3.16, but the NPCs do bleed out now because I shot one and then eventually it kind of died. So that was nice to see. Mm-hmm. But what I was really interested in, something that I'm continuing to test is the hunger and thirst polish because. Mm-hmm. At first, and I'm sure many were saying that, it feels a little too fast, but the more I actually do activities in the game, because once again, I'm living out my Hull A, I don't necessarily feel affected by the dramatic reduction or the rate of reduction of thirst. Not saying that they won't polish it though, right? Mm-hmm. There's a strong chance I'm sure that they'll, actually not make it as quick to degrade, but it's, the more I play, the more accustomed that I get, and it doesn't feel like much of a nuisance that some were stating that was much of an issue. So that's something at first I thought, okay, I really need to play the game some more to be able to, really understand. Okay, does it feel good? Does it feel right? Does it feel like too much? And it's kind of growing on me, right? But it'll be difficult to say because of the locations of how everywhere is still close by and everything compared to places like Pyro, right? It's going to be difficult to say still because in those places you'll have to possibly be using those things more, or be more careful because you won't have places where you can buy those drinks and those things. So it'll be interesting to see what more they do on it in terms of iterations, but that's something that I had to identify. It's something that you'll have to play the game to really see.
Okay. Citizen Zvar, thank you so much for giving out those 5 gift subs. Y'all send some love. If you all were blessed with one of those subs, give Citizen Zvar a shout for sending out some love to you guys on this Mother's Day. I'm going to say about the hunger and thirst polish pass. To me, they made it a little too aggressive right now. I need them to pull it back just a little bit, because every time I've played now, within a 2-hour period, I'm ready to drink something. Now, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. But thirst is... Now, here's the funny thing. Thirst and hunger are not moving at the same pace. Thirst is happening much faster. What I don't know is whether we talked about this earlier, have they started implementing food into where it's affecting us now? So in other words, am I dehydrating faster because I'm drinking water, but if I drink a smoothie, it may not go down as fast? Or if I drink a fizz, am I going to get thirsty faster? I know for fizzes you will. I don't know if smoothies are better. Okay. Same thing with food. If I go eat an apple, am I okay versus the protein bar versus the hot dog. You know what I mean? If they've started implementing that, then we need to kind of know that, because now we can start paying attention to what it is we eat. Because there may be some times where grabbing a hot dog is no big deal because I'm only going to be in the game for 30 minutes. There's another time when I'm going to do a bunker mission, I'm going to be down there for an hour and a half, and I want to make sure that I don't get a slice of pizza, but I eat, you know, maybe I take a couple protein bars with me. So so that's the thing I'm kind of curious about, whether that's why we're seeing the aggressiveness about food in eating. The buffing isn't there yet. I know that the buffing's not, but the way hunger management is happening, to me, I need to find out what's going on with that, because I know for a fact I've, like, almost every time I've played, I've almost always had to have some water, you know, within a 2 hour, 2.5 hour time frame.
Can I say one thing? We went to a seminar today given by Colossal on food, and he made an excellent point. Go to your journal, and their journal will explain.
Well, that's what I mentioned earlier. Right. Yeah, there's a whole page on it. But my question is, Pops, that's been there for a while. Some people haven't looked at it. Yeah, my question is, have they started implementing it? Like it's actually there. I know some of it is. I know the dehydration part is, but CIG on this last patch told us that they made food and hunger more aggressive. What they didn't say is whether or not food is tied to that now. And that's what I'm trying to find out is now, will I get more time out of my dehydration for sure by drinking a smoothie versus water? Because water seems like it's going real fast. The other thing I'm not sure about is temperature affecting us. Is movement affecting us? If I'm running around, am I getting dehydrated faster because I'm running? Or if I walk or run, dehydration goes down at the same rate. I have not yet figured that out, and maybe somebody in chat knows.
Okay, there is, and I can't tell you that, because today when I was at Hurston, and I was when we were doing our missions yesterday, I was running around in heavy armor.
Oh my God! Excuse me one second. IO Spartan. Thank you so much for 25 subs. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. Blackback, thank you for the gift subs as well. You guys, oh man, thank you guys so much for those subs. You guys have no idea. You know what you're doing? You're helping us give some ships away for Invictus. So thank you. Because as you guys know, everything that comes in, we turn back around to the community. So we will have some ships to give away for Invictus. We already had some anyway, but we're going to have even more ships now to give away. So thank you guys for sponsoring us in that way. We really, really appreciate it. We don't want you to think that we don't. Everybody, whether you gave 1 or 25, thank you, because that money goes right back to the community. Yeah, so anyway, you were saying, Fist, that you know for sure because of what you were doing, you saw the difference in it.
So I saw the difference between when I was running around yesterday. I was in heavy armor.
Oh yeah, heavy armor will do it for sure. Yes.
My water, my food consumption, all of that stuff was going down fast. Today was at Hurston. I had on just a flight suit. Doing the same thing. Like I said, let me run, you know, all of that. Let me see the difference.
You saw the difference.
I could see the difference.
Yes.
Saw a clear night and day difference.
Yeah.
And everything. Water was not going down as much. I topped off at 100. I would say I ran, you know, from the ship all the way there. Not a big deal. Maybe lost about 5% on water. You know.
Pops. Thank you, Pops. Pops said he had to get in on it. All right. Thank you, Pops. Thank you all.
Thanks for the subscription.
Thank you. Yeah, no, Fist, to your point, we talked about this, but I think before you guys came in, because you guys came in right, maybe it might have been this way when you guys came in. There was a point where when you were wearing heavy armor, if you ran in that sucker too long, you'd have a heart attack and die.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. You would see your whole screen would go fuzzy.
Yeah, if you weren't paying attention,
you know, you'd black out.
If you weren't paying attention to that beats per minute on your heart, Jack, it was over with.
Black out. That's it.
Yeah. So
boom.
Yeah,
that was it.
FC mentioned it. We hit our sub goal. Thank you guys so much. We're just at the beginning of the month, and we've hit our sub goal. So thank you guys for that. We really, again, you guys are setting us up for Invictus, so we'll have a good time and enjoy. Believe me, we always enjoy when we're able to give back to the community. So thank you guys for that. So my again, hunger and thirst was one of my issues that I loved. The landing thing never bothered me because I'm one of those people that uses the MFDs. So I love pushing the buttons and clicking and calling for the tower and stuff. But don't get me wrong, I'm also freaking using that button now. So it is nice to have it. Big Black Gaming, thank you for the 500 bits, an additional 500 bits to the 1,000 you've already given. Thank you for that. Guys, once again, check the patch notes for these. There's a lot of these here that we have listed. But that's again, one other thing I'm going to mention before, and we're going to go into this last thing under core tech, because is this our last one, core tech, or am I missing one? I'm missing something. No, we still got to do ships and vehicles. Let's talk about this real quick. Under ships and vehicles, these were added ships and vehicles to the PU. So you guys know now virtually every ship you can go to somebody's terminal and either rent or buy it in game. So you don't have to now spend cash if you don't want to. So what they've added the, oh my God, we're on the hype train now. Jeez, OP Colossal, thank you for that sub. Thank you guys. You guys have started us on a hype train. Thank you. They've added the Aegis Redeemer. They've added the Anvil Spartan, the Argo Raft, Consolidated Outlines Hover Quad. Oh my God, Jad, thank you. Thank you for the resub. You guys are awesome. We're at level 5 on the hype train. Thank you guys. The Crusader A2 for you bomb people. You can get that now in game. Of course, the well-beloved Ares Ion and Inferno that everybody loves. You can get those in game. Go Mob's favorite ship. The Go Mob special. You guys can get a Go Mob special in game. Nomad, thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you, Nomad. 1701, our Star Trek fan. Starfighter Inferno, the Drake Cutlass Steel. I know how much you guys have been waiting to get that Cutlass Steel in game because y'all ain't paying $200 for it. So the Cutlass Steel you can get. And last but not least, yes, the Origin 400i is available for those of you who are willing to work hard for it. And it ain't cheap. We looked up the price the other day. Crackazogs, thank you for the community sub. Thank you for gifting that out. The Origin 400i was like something like what, 6 million?
6 or 8?
Yep.
6
around
million?
that range.
Yeah, buddy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Fist, if there was a ship you'd get in game off this list, is there anything you would get?
The A2.
A2? Kalrati?
Surprisingly, the Ion.
Woo! Okay. Pops, in game, what would you get?
I just want to see it. I just want the steel.
Oh, the steel. Okay.
I've never been in it. I want to.
Okay. All right. Wow, Matt Style. Thank you. Matt Style sent some love, y'all. Thank you guys. Matt Style sent out 10 gift subs to you guys. So send some love to Matt Style because Matt Style loves y'all because he gave out some subs today. Thank you. All right, we're hitting our final and last category. And this is an area that people often ignore. I couldn't put all this on screen, so I'm going to read some of these things to you guys. Jade, oh my God, Jade, thank you so much. One of our team members, thank you for those 5 subs. Everybody in here, there's 105 people watching the show, so right now everybody should have a sub, basically, all right? Everybody should be a subscriber at this point because they've given out plenty of them tonight. Thank you all. So some of the things they listed here under core tech, I'm just going to read these off. Desync improvements. Many of you all have heard people talking about desync big time in this patch. If those of you who watch Tirada, thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much for the follow. Those of you who watch Tirada, you all know that Tirada does the high, what's it called? Flying. What's the term? The flying, guys.
You mean low flying?
Low flying. The fast, low flying stuff.
Honing?
No, it was honing, but there's another term that they use for it. That's something flying. Somebody help me in chat. Y'all help me. Low flying. Is it low flying? Okay. Hard flying. Hard flying. Yeah. Thank you. Hard flying. Okay. And what he said when this patch came out, he was amazed because normally they would only fly within a certain distance of each other because of the desync. It was too easy for them to crash into each other. But now they're able to fly like high precision, hard flying, and they don't have that problem in game now. So this desync thing was a big deal. They also, remember they were talking about desync in relation to when somebody was shooting at you, that you might be getting hit and it didn't look like you were being hit. That was another factor with the desync. So people seem to be really happy with this improvement in desync. GPU part, I'm going to read all the rest of these and we'll take on the ones we want to talk about. GPU particle performance pass. They converted the Xeon Scout and Aeon Nox thruster particles to render through GPU instead of the CPU. As you guys know, when you put stuff on the CPU, you get more lag in the game. If you can move that over to the GPU, things are a lot better. So a lot of graphic effects they try to put into the GPU. optimize the streaming bubble around players to improve asset streaming performance. And we heard a lot about this whole thing they were working on with the streaming. Partial Gen 12 scene rendering. As you guys know, Gen 12 is starting to become implemented into the game now. Client bind culling in the replication layer. Excuse me. Entity-centric, entity component, update scheduler, and zone lock thread contention fixes. Them last three, I ain't gonna even try to tackle. Maybe Kalrati can talk about them. Thank you guys. Oh, come on, Mad Style. Jeez, oh, Pete. Thank you guys for that. For another 20 subs. You all gonna push us over the limit here. Thank you for the subs, everybody. Thank you guys once again, so we can turn this right back around to the community. We've almost doubled our May subscriber goal, and it's only the freaking second week in May. So thank you guys for that. Okay. Oh, stop. Oh my God, that's crazy. 73 gift subs, you all.
Oh,
that's insane.
It's community, man.
You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for that.
Mother's Day is getting
Thank you guys. Is that everybody's sentimental because it's Mother's Day? Is that what it is? All right, everybody's feeling sentimental right now. Thank you all so much for that. Okay, y'all got me so distracted I can't remember what we were talking about. Gray Fox, thank you for following. Thank you so much. Any of these topics you guys want to tackle, anything here? I will say this. The first thing I noticed when I went to 317, I'm sure many of you all noticed it too.
yes.
Spartan. Okay, wow. Spartan. Thank you. You pushed us over the top. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. What? Citizens are. Okay, guys. Thank you all. Okay, thank you. I can't stop saying thank you. We can't finish the show, y'all. We're trying to wrap up. It's 9 o'clock. All right, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Really, I can't say how much we appreciate it. Okay, especially on Mother's Day, because y'all don't have to be here. Y'all could be enjoying something else. So thank you all so much. Spartan for the extra 10. Citizens are for the 30. Thank you guys so much, and y'all give them some love if you all benefited from their gifts, because we really appreciate that.
Hey, Griff, go crazy.
Now that's it, brother. So let me say this: when I went into 317, I noticed graphically the game looked different. It looks beautiful. Really, really good. Beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let the rest of the panel say, but that's the one thing I gotta say. When I went into PTU and in live, I could see the difference in the game. Colors, Christmas, obvious lighting passes. Things look really, really good. Pops, let me start with you, then Fist, and I'll close out with Kalrati.
Yeah. Well, it's ambient occlusion. Yeah. It's the passes. It's like pulling a fog away from certain things and giving it a little bit more depth, and depth in color, but not just depth in color, but depth in feel. You're able to see a little more, a little bit more. It's not necessarily sharpness. I don't want to confuse it with sharpness, but it's a little bit more detail in the shadows, and that's really what it's all about. A lighting pass.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
And just wait until we get our hands on Vulcan. Yeah.
Okay. Fist, what's your thoughts on any of this stuff or what you've seen?
I'm gonna describe it with one word: fidelity. High fidelity at that. You know, going into it, not only to be able to see the lighting passes, but then for it to work. You know, I'm not saying all areas, but for certain areas to be able to get 60 frames per second. Where you can turn your head without a stutter, you know, and stuff like that. And especially if you have a good monitor, you know, and stuff like that really takes advantage of VSync or other things like that can really make things, you know, pop. It's like, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, again, you know, to be real quick, you know, CIG, I hate it when they do these things, because it's like you said, you know, when it gets advertised, it's like you got to slap that big alpha on there, you know?
Yeah, because it fools you, right? You think it's there, right?
It does,
right? Yeah, it's very easy to think that it's like we're there, right? Kalrati, could you elaborate a little bit, because people have talked about whether or not with this Gen 12 thing and everything else, was there going to be some type of increase in frames or performance? Some people have seen an actual, not just increase in frames, because they may have seen that, but what they have seen is increase in performance. And Fist just kind of referenced that a little bit. Well, can you talk a little bit about what has happened in the game for some players? Because some players aren't seeing much, but there are other people who are saying, no, dude, I'm getting 60 frames or the game looks better. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So what they did is they kind of untethered the reliance on the single render thread, right? Of course, they did some work on the main thread too. So if your CPU had that potential to really have some extra juice to be pushed along with your GPU combination, you're going to see some really nice improvements. For example, my 4K system, I actually got a lot more performance in terms of the percentage difference at 4K in cities than my 1080p system. And I was like, huh. Mainly because the CPU had a lot more extra juice to, really, that room to really, dish out. And it was really, really nice. And of course, oh man, they're not even done yet.
Yeah.
So what I would say is this is just a testament to the room that they have to really optimize things, and they're getting there. It's a gradual process. It's not going to be a switch, but it's going to be a step-by-step approach. So it was really, really nice to see that.
Yeah, I agree. For those of you who aren't dinosaurs like me and remember when they first put their feet on Daymar and they were getting 8 frames a second, I'm not complaining about nothing. I'm not complaining about that. I stopped complaining a long time ago about frames and stuff. I really did. Because I'm telling you, it was like this. That was the movement, okay? So I don't complain about frames anymore. I stopped a long time ago, okay?
I remember.
You remember that? Oh, man.
Yeah, actually, I kind of pulled a small prank on another friend of mine, and this was when we had the hanger module. And I told her she didn't have a good GPU at the time. It was just like a GTX 650 or something. But I told her, you can run it. All of a sudden, we're on Skype, and I'm hearing her screaming because she's hearing this screeching from her GPU. Because the game is trying to load into the hanger module. Because back then, when you launched the game, it'll just load straight into the hanger module, right? The screen is showing static. I mean, I thought it was a funny prank, but I didn't know it was going to be that bad. So to go from there, I mean, she doesn't have a GTX 650 anymore, but to go from
that young lady's card,
basically, almost lock that computer.
2 months later, she actually put it in the bin. So I don't know if it was because of Star Citizen, but yeah. But to go from that feeling to now, it's. I mean, once again, it's a gradual process.
It's a big difference. We've got some questions, gang, from the folks out here. We're gonna. I see that Kai put in one he asked me to ask at the end. Let's go to Citizen Shenanigans has presented 2 questions. One of them is, did CIG at some point show tech that allowed eyes to react to light levels automatically? And I thought there was yes. We saw something where the eyes dilated based upon light. They did do that. They showed us that in one of the ISCs. So to answer your question, yes. Another question that Citizen Shenanigans asks is, can the prospector mine the Quantanium but have a cargo ship pull the good purple rocks into the hold so that they don't explode? That's an interesting question. Will we be able to actually load up Quantanium rocks? So you get it, Fist? Can you open that back door on that C2?
Ooh,
and we actually take the rocks after we broke them into chunks.
Hold up.
And instead of they're not volatile, we can put them inside your ship.
Yeah, thinking out of the box.
And maybe you Now we don't know yet because we do know that the new tractor beam is coming. You all saw the rifle version, right? We don't have any ships with tractor beams, but it'll be interesting to see whether or not a tractor beam can actually move. And we know they will because the Orion and stuff use tractor beams to move asteroid particles. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not an actual asteroid piece. Now, mind you, think about weight if you're talking about atmosphere. That's a whole nother thing too. But if you're not talking about atmosphere, it's a good question that we'll have to see, right? There's science out there, y'all. Maybe somebody can go out there and open their back door and just back into
down
one
for it
and see if you can get it to go inside.
I'm down for it. You know it.
Yeah, okay. We'll see what happens on that one. CIG might fool us. Say if that sucker hits oxygen, it blows up. Who knows? Okay. All right. And then our last question that we have, and this is from Black Sky Legion from our good friend Kai. He says, save this question for the end. What is everyone's favorite item discussed tonight? But with a twist, can't give the same answer as someone before you gave. So he wants everybody to have a different answer. So let me start off with Pops. Pops, what was out of everything in 317? What's the thing that you like probably the most?
Fueling.
Okay. Fueling. All right. Fist.
Ooh, all right. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'll go with mining, the gadgets.
The gadgets? Okay.
I'll go with the gadgets.
All right. Kalrati.
The streaming, having to load less entities into the game, especially in the city zones, lovely. Much better.
Yeah. I could name the Hull A because I'm a big Hull fan, but I'm going to go with performance. That the game feels good. It feels good to play it. We spent 2 hours today in a bunker, running around, lifting, jumping, undressing bodies, tossing bodies out of the back, shooting folks, meeting up with each other. I logged out of the bed in a Cutlass Red, got in the car, drove home, came back in, logged back in, got out of that same bed. That there wasn't the game breaking of the immersion, and performance allowed that to happen, that the game remained consistent enough that I could do that. Felt very good, because before I would have been just waiting for the bottom to fall out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I never today, only time I worried about the bottom falling out was because we were in the bunker for 2 hours and I said somebody's going to show up and kill us after all this hard work. But I wasn't worried about a 30K or locking up or getting kicked out. That meant a lot to me today when I played the game.
Well, I will say this though, to that point that you just made real quick. Be aware though, because we did run into an issue when we were loading up. We had at least about, I don't know, 30 bodies on the elevator.
Yeah, the one glitch we had.
30 bodies, and we could not put nobody.
But that was one glitch. And what happened was, y'all, we stacked 30 bodies on the elevator, but there were so many entities in the area that when we wanted to take out our tractor beam guns again to use them, we couldn't. Now, what was funny though, Fist, is when I logged out and drove home and came back, I was able to take my gun out. So it was weird. But if that was the most I had to worry about, because we were still able to finish doing the job, you know what I'm saying? But I'm used to that stuff that just ends the experience. You know what I mean? It just ends it, you know. And fortunately, Colossal and I, we picked up where you guys left off. We stripped every one of them bodies, took all that stuff, and got out of there. Yes, sir.
Oh,
yes, sir.
Shout out to Colossal. Hey, listen.
Hey,
listen, I apologize for killing you on the elevator.
Twice.
My bad.
No, once. You killed him once. That's right. That's right.
This is an accident twice, right?
I know. Well, listen, we have hit everything today. We've covered 317, everything that's in the patch notes. We want to send you guys to the patch notes again. Take a look at it. We want to say thank you to everybody who hung out with us on Mother's Day. Like I said, you could be doing a lot of other things, if nothing else but digesting your Mother's Day food, but you hung out with us. So thank you all for that. We want to thank Fist and Pops, the guys from New Soul who came on, who hung out with us. We did a little of the science testing to prepare for the show tonight, for Kalrati, who always has great background technical information for us in relation to computing and networking and all that great stuff with the game. Kalrati, why don't you tell everybody about what we got coming up this upcoming week, starting on Thursday?
Yes. Soul Talk this Thursday, where we discuss all things throughout the week, be it month reports, roadmaps, patch notes, ISEs, you got it. So check us in there, and if you want to join us on Discord, we are available. I forgot the time. Griff saved me on that.
10 p.m. Eastern. 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So you guys, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So you guys, if you can join us, Fast Cart usually is the one who hosts that, and it's a round table, so you can just come in and hang out and talk with us. So hopefully you guys will see us there. And then on Saturday, we do Soul Voices. LFast4, thank you for that follow. We appreciate that. We do Soul Voices. That's our one-on-one talk show where you guys can come in and talk with us. By the way, both these shows are on YouTube. This is the only one that's on Twitch. You can come there, though. You can talk with us one-on-one. We take topics from Spectrum. We take topics from Reddit. And we talk about stuff that's game industry related, but it's still usually around Star Citizen and space and all that cool stuff. This week coming up, the player haters are going to be back. So those of you who enjoy the player haters, we bring them back every once in a while. We can't let them be there every week because they would ruin the show. But when they are there, we have a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us this upcoming Saturday. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time, midday. So for those of you who are in the UK and Germany and Australia, that's the show for you, where you guys can come and hang out with us and talk to us. And we love having folks come in. And then next Sunday, we're going to do our annual show. This is an annual topic for a show that we do. And it's called Dear CIG. And it's when our panelists all write a letter to CIG with 2 or 3 things that they would like to ask CIG to do. Sometimes it might be just saying, hey, CIG, we appreciate what you did. Then again, it might be, hey, CIG, when are you going to fix those rocks that never have mining materials in them? Whatever the case may be. And we're going to raise those issues up and talk about those things that we think would make the game a better game for everybody in the gaming community. So that's going to be next Sunday, Dear CIG. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us. Let's see. I'm waiting on my mods to send me somebody that we can raid, but nobody sent me anybody, which means that maybe they don't think there's anybody we should raid tonight. But we're going to look real quick and see who's on. Maiden Ariana is on tonight. So how about we raid Maiden Ariana from
some love.
Yacht Club? Yeah, we're going to send some love to Maiden Ariana. So when you guys get over there, when you see Maiden Ariana, you all send some love to Maiden Ariana. This raid has been created. There she goes. Tell her that you came from Soul Citizens. If you like what you see, of course, follow her and support her. And again, for all of you all who gave tonight, subscribe, followers, all that good stuff. Thank you all so much. We're looking forward to Invictus on the 20th. We'll look forward to seeing you guys there. And we'll give you more information about a local bar citizen that's happening in the Midwest, Chicago. We are sponsoring it on June the 4th. We're also going to do a virtual one again, so we'll tell you about that as well. But until we see you guys then, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Mother's Day. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. And as always, peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys real soon. Take care.